Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for our Josie.
For Joburg, by Joburg, in Joburg.
Bamise bonke.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's Walk the Talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
7 minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, happy Monday. Welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show. It's great to have you with us here on 702. I hope you're well this morning and I hope you had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. All right, so the breaking news this morning is around the controversial businessman, Clement Manyathela. He has withdrawn from the plea deal with the state. So this essentially means that he's not accepting the 12-year prison term that has been suggested by the magistrate a couple of weeks ago. Remember, there are prosecutors who will now have to go back to the drawing board. In fact, the matter has been postponed to the 11th of September 2026. And remember, the court turned down the state's negotiated 8-year prison sentence, and they indicated that a 12-year term would be more appropriate. So Clement Manyathela was supposed to have decided by today whether to accept the tougher sentence. And if he refuses, then the plea agreement could collapse and then the matter proceeds to trial. Well, what we know now, coming out of the courts, is that he has now withdrawn from the plea deal. So I've got the NPA spokesperson on standby for us. We'll get to him in a moment. But let me know what your thoughts are, right? I mean, this means the evidence the NPA had sought to rely on against the various witnesses, I would imagine, falls away, but we'll get clarity from Khanyago. But as part of the plea deal, Clement Manyathela had agreed to testify against several individuals, including top cops. So he agreed to testify against a number of individuals. That means that the evidence he submitted, then what happens to it? Can it still be used or not? Give me your thoughts on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. At 10 o'clock, we'll take you live to the Madlanga Commission, where the head of IDAC, Andrea is on the hot seat. At 10:30, we'll continue with our series that we started last week, looking at some of the stories that have embarrassed our government and our country. What's the update on those stories? We started last week by looking at the Bushiri escape. Today we're discussing Thabo Bester's escape from prison. And then at 11 o'clock, we're going to do our Family Matters feature. And today we'll be discussing the disconnect we sometimes feel from where we come from due to trauma that we've experienced. And how do we heal from that? There are a lot of people who will tell you, I don't like going to my grandmother's house, or I don't like really going to spend too much time at home, because that's still a source of pain for me. Every time I'm there, I remember the stuff I've witnessed there, or stuff that's been done to me. If there is a place like that to you that's supposed to be home and it feels that way, I'd like to hear how you're navigating that when we have this conversation at 11 o'clock on our Family Matters feature. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7
and 106 FM.
All right, let's go straight to our conversation with Khanyago, who's the spokesperson for the NPA, around the breaking news this morning that alleged crime boss Clement Manyathela has withdrawn from the plea deal in the corruption case related to that Medicare 24 tender. Mr. Khanyago, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, Clemens, and good morning to your listeners.
Can you just give us clarity on where things are right now? The matter, we are told, is postponed to the 11th of September. Can you confirm whether Clement Manyathela has indeed withdrawn from the plea deal?
No, definitely. We went to court this morning expecting an answer from their side, and then they came in and then they indicated that they are withdrawing from the plea agreement. And as a result of that, therefore, the court has decided that the plea is null and void, which basically means everything that was in the plea cannot be used.
And what reasons did they give for rejecting the plea deal and withdrawing?
No, they didn't give any reasons. They just indicated that they are withdrawing, and then obviously they don't have to give reasons. All that the magistrate said was to check with the accused person whether he agrees with what the lawyers were saying, and he confirmed it. Yes.
Okay, but then as soon as the judge or magistrate a couple of weeks ago suggested the 12-year sentence and not the 8 that you had agreed as the NPA with Vusimuzi Madlanga, did you already start talking to him then? And what sense did you get? Did you get a sense from then in your negotiations that he was okay with the 12 years, or did he object to that?
Now, when we came to the court today, we were not sure what he was going to do because it was not clear. And as indicated, people must remember that whatever we do in terms of our legal system, we do not just make an agreement and then sign and go. It has got to be put into scrutiny, and it is the prerogative of the court to decide what they want to do. And when they decide, they also don't make it a ruling, because it then becomes a suggestion to say, we suggest this, because the court agreed with the plea agreement, except the sentence part, where they separated all the cases, because there were 7 charges, and then they then gave judgment, suggested sentence for each and every one of them. They grouped them into 3, hence the additional 4. Therefore, we are comfortable that the processes were done correctly. It is just a matter of them agreeing or not agreeing. Where our prosecutor was asked whether we agree from the side of the state, and we said yes, we agree with the proposed sentence, and they didn't agree, obviously, and that's where we are today.
Okay, so what do you do now? What can you do as the NPA? Is it back to square one? Can you still negotiate with him an agreement that both of you can agree to and then take to the court?
No, for now, we going to square one, because you must remember, he is the one who approached us that he wants to speak. It is not the other way around. Therefore, we then are saying, if he's no more prepared to speak, therefore we will come back here on the 11th of September. We will then request for him to be added back, because remember, we had to separate him from the others in that case. Therefore, he has to be added back in that case, and he goes and become accused number 1 again in that case, because we already have evidence against him and the other people that are arrested already.
So does this development in any way affect the case that you have as the state against some of the top SAPS officers?
No, it doesn't, because they were still going to stand trial on that matter with the evidence we have already. Therefore, it is just a matter of saying it was going to be helpful and save time if we do this plea, and then he then becomes state witness. But now, with these matters being the way that they are, we're going to square one. He will be accused number 1 again, and then we'll go through a full trial with him in the trial with the others.
Okay. Kaiser Khanyago, thank you so much for speaking to us. He's the spokesperson for the NPA. What are your thoughts on this breaking news this morning? Madlanga no longer going to reveal information about some of the top cops. I mean, I personally, I am a bit disappointed, because this is one of the things I did celebrate, in fact, when it came out a few weeks ago. As difficult as it is for us to be confronted with the possibility of a criminal who is going to spend lesser time in jail compared to what he would ordinarily spend if he didn't reach a plea agreement, as difficult as that is, we must weigh that against what is going to be benefited. And in this case, we're trying to clean out the SAPS, and there are some top senior cops in the SAPS who have been involved in criminal behaviors and activities connected to Vusimuzi Madlanga. And what a great opportunity this would have been to really take out some of the guys. Because remember, there are some people that have still denied that monies they've received from Madlanga were proceeds of crime, proceeds of fraud and corruption. And the police may not have the hardcore evidence that's going to send these top cops straight to prison. Because remember, what you hear at the Madlanga Commission is very different to what the expectation is in court. The threshold is much higher in court. The judges focus on the evidence. So the fact that something is more circumstantial doesn't necessarily mean that you've got a strong case against the person. So there are people that may have been exposed at the Madlanga Commission, but was there causality established? That's when you enter the court sphere, it's no longer about what that text message said, what that person corroborated. It's more about what is the evidence, and is there a causal link here that you can establish between this person and what you are alleging they have done. And that threshold is much higher, which makes it really difficult for the NPA to even prosecute all of these top SAPS officers that they have charged. Because the burden of proof, that threshold is much higher. So I really don't know what the NPA is going to do going forward, and they may very well still have strong evidence against these top cops, but I really think that this was going to be helpful, as Kaiser Khanyago said. It saves time as well, but I think it was really going to get us to get Ket Madlanga to expose all these other cops who've come up and wanted to claim that the monies they received from Ket Madlanga were more about just them being friends or him doing business with his children, and not so much anything to do with that over 300 million rand tender he received from the SAPS. So let's hear what your thoughts are on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. That plea agreement is now null and void. Back to square one for the NPA.
Hey, Clement, I can't help but wonder, all these top cops who Ket Madlanga is going to implicate are breathing a sigh of relief. I wonder if they're sending the judge their brown envelopes, because remember, Ket Madlanga was not going to go for 4 years only. Remember, he's got other cases around him. So what if he got 20 years on those other cases? So we've missed an opportunity here to get these 20 or so top cops, in my opinion.
Yeah, look, and I do also get where the magistrate was coming from, right? Because the magistrate says, I agree with the plea agreement. I just disagree with the number of years, the sentencing. Why 8 years instead of 12 years? And I get where the magistrate is coming from, because you and I are going to be the first people to come up and criticize a plea agreement that the state has entered into. We've done that before with VBS. Remember? Is it Van Tonder, who was the CFO at VBS, who decided, I'm entering a plea deal, I'm going to reveal some names, and then he was out of jail, I think after about 3 or 4 years, if I'm not mistaken, because he was sentenced to a number of years, and then he got out on parole. And we still you don't want to send a message out there that go and commit crime. You can go commit the most heinous of crimes, as long as when they catch you, you're going to reveal it all, and then that somehow reduces your sentence. I get it. But at the same time, we've got to weigh the different options we have here. If the NPA knows that it doesn't have as strong of evidence against some of these top cops, and they're going to need Vusmuzi Ket Madlanga, they need to really give him a deal that's going to be attractive to him. But at the same time, they must manage public perception around agreements that the NPA enters into. Because we are the first ones to come and complain and say, why is Ket Madlanga getting 4 years? Because, I mean, if he gets 8 years, he's going to be out on parole, likely. So he's not going to serve the whole of 8 years. So what do you do? It's such a tough balancing act, but it is disappointing that it's now back to square one for the NPA, because, my goodness, one of the things I was looking forward to was to Ket Madlanga's appearance at the Madlanga Commission this week. I was looking forward to that because I thought once this deal then is confirmed with the state, that probably means that no holds barred. When he gets to the Madlanga Commission, he's going to share information even about some of the top cops who've appeared before the Madlanga Commission. Because now he has entered a plea deal. He can expose these guys in court, right, so that the NPA can send them straight to jail, but also he can expose them at the Madlanga Commission. So how does this change the dynamics of his appearance at the Madlanga Commission now that the plea deal is null and void? Huh?
Good morning, Clement. I think basically the plea deal should have given Ket Madlanga 4 years and everything running concurrently, and you either want to catch one man, because the rot is deep in our government. The rot is deep, and you either want to catch one man and leave out 400 men, or you can let one man serve 4 years and catch 400 people. I don't know where the state's priority is here. And it looks like the reason they are doing this is because some of the people who are involved are pushing that if he will make a plea deal, it has to be the maximum sentence. And it will not be worth it for him. How can you make a plea deal for 12 years? How can you make a plea deal for 8 years? The state should have considered just 4 years. And we could get rid of the huge rot that is in our government.
I Clement, no. This Kid Matala thing, it does not make sense. But in a sense, I saw this coming in a way because I don't know whose interest is this serving. Is it in the interest of justice or in the interest of who? If now they cannot have evidence against the people that Ken Matala had named, that simply means they will go scot-free. Yeah, I'm not feeling at ease with this one. Zolenala here from Randipal.
Good morning, Clem and your team. Clem, the day the Minister of Justice and the President close IDAC is the day that this country will see the result of organized crime being fought decisively. This is the same case with Ket Matlala, who was given a passage by IDAC, the same IDAC that is compromised from right to left and center. Now we'll hear the main person who will be at Madlanga today. The sooner we close IDAC, the better we'll get what we want. PTKK must continue with the investigation. The likes of Mkwanazi and his team must be given full powers to fight organized crime. Max in Pretoria.
But is that going to be the answer, though? Every time that there are some individuals in these corruption-busting institutions that are compromised or alleged to be compromised, then your answer is to just shut the institution down, like we did with the Scorpions? I don't know if that actually fixes the problem. We know why IDAC was established, and look, we can have a separate debate about whether or not they've been successful in going after some of the corruption cases, especially the state capture cases. I mean, we haven't seen as many successful prosecutions as I'm sure they themselves would have liked to see. We haven't, right? I mean, who's the one senior person you know today? One high-profile person who's been arrested? Apart from Vincent Smith. Who else? Who has been sent to jail as a result of the work of the State Capture Commission? Remember, that's work IDAC was supposed to really take up. So, have they been successful in that regard? Are there no other cases that they've been successful in? And if that's the case, is it worth it? Is it worth shutting the whole institution down because you're concerned about the allegations against the leader of IDAC or some of the investigators? I don't know. I just think we're going to be back here every 5-10 years where Scorpions are gone, IDAC is gone. Who knows what's next? What happens if the head of the PKTT is compromised? What, you want to ask that entire task team now also be de-established? It can really get tricky. On the WhatsApp line, someone has sent us a message. It says, Clement, how does a criminal have information to implicate SAPS officials? And we need to negotiate on giving him a lesser sentence to be given the information. This thing of our prisons saying it's for correcting criminals is costing us. We need to punish criminals. Well, we live in a democracy. And part of our democracy and our constitution is that we must always treat people as human beings, whether you are a hardcore criminal or not. So there must be punishment, but there must be an opportunity for some recourse. I mean, I don't know if I would like to live in a country that would never give me a second opportunity. And there are many people who have taken second opportunities, right? They were involved in criminality. They made mistakes. But as soon as there's been punishment and there have been corrective measures, they have turned away from their criminal ways. And I think that needs to be appreciated. That needs to be embraced. That's a country you want to live in, not a country that just somehow pushes you to this dark hole for the rest of your life because of one mistake you've made that you realize is a mistake. So I get why we have to negotiate sometimes, even with criminals like Ket Matlala, when it's difficult to do so. I get it. But that's how you're going to get other top cops out. That's how you clean up the system. Remember, criminals, even the government officials, they are very clever. I mean, look at how people communicate, right? Whether it's criminals or whether politicians are communicating with top intelligence officers. Look at how Julius Malema was communicating with Firoz Khan. Did you see them communicate directly? No, there's no text we know of where Julius and Khan are speaking directly with each other. They're speaking through Saeed. Why? Because that's what you do. You want to be extra careful. You don't want to be obvious in your communications with the person you know there would be trouble if they found out you guys were communicating like that. I can go on and on and on. Like, people, when they even steal money, they don't use their own brothers or they use their own bank accounts. Floyd Shivambu was busy praising the other day, not praising, but he was talking about VBS. And I tweeted and I said, but wasn't it his brother? Because he was trying to suggest that no, VBS was just a campaign to target him and the EFF, him and Julius Malema. But his own brother has admitted that he received monies that he was not supposed to receive that were flowing from VBS. That's why his own brother accepted and admitted and said, I'm going to pay over 4 million rand. I'm going to pay that money back. Because that's money I received unlawfully from places like VBS. So criminals are very smart. You're not going to really get to them, which is why I'm saying you can be excited about what's come out of the Madlanga Commission. But in court, the burden of evidence is very different to what you hear at the Madlanga Commission. That's more inquisitorial. They're asking you questions about what they're finding there. In court, they care about evidence. And sometimes there's not going to be evidence to go after, let's say, the Deputy National Commissioner. What's his name? Shadrach Sibia, for instance. Let's say he's done something wrong, but he has been careful about hiding it. How do you get to him? You get the person who enriched him through fraud and corruption to testify against him. That's the easiest way you take him down. But going to find the link between monies that this person left at his house and then that person collected money on his behalf, that's not enough in a court of law. And that's why it's so devastating that this deal is now out of the window.
Hi, Clement. You know what I'm thinking? Maybe he was threatened. He was told that should he open his mouth, he'll be dead. You know how South Africa is. Yeah, I think maybe he was threatened. Thank you.
Good day, Clement. Good day, 72 lenders. Abraham in Florida. Clement, I see it as a positive thing for the NPA to actually negotiate with Matlala, given the fact that we haven't been able to arrest and prosecute most of these officials that were arrested over a year or so, right? Given the fact that there is not enough evidence to arrest them and charge them with not Clement. So I think it was a good start, even though we're taking a lose by giving Matlala 8 years or so, but it would have helped a great deal when not Clement with making a waterproof or watertight case to execute and basically to challenge most of these officials, because now the problem is that it's going to become a mini Zondo commission that won't yield any results.
9:30, time for the latest in Eyewitness News. More of your calls and WhatsApps after the headlines. Fiso, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Alleged criminal kingpin Vusmuzi Ket Matlala's plea deal has collapsed after the Pretoria Specialized Commercial Crimes Court rejected the agreed sentence and proposed a harsher punishment. The court has heard this morning that Matlala is withdrawing from the agreement that would have seen him turn state witness. The magistrates found the proposed effective 8-year prison term was not a just sentence. Instead, the court indicated that an effective 12-year sentence would be appropriate. Johannesburg waste management entity Pick It Up says it has cleared the refuse collection backlog across affected parts of the city following a strike by contract workers. The employees are protesting, demanding permanent employment, the same issue that has triggered similar strikes in the past. The disruption left rubbish piling up outside homes, raising environmental and public health concerns. And Russia has fired a wave of drones and missiles at Ukraine overnight, killing 4 people, while Ukrainian strikes on Russia and Russian-occupied areas of Ukraine have killed 5 people. The strikes came a day before Ukraine's allies are set to meet in Paris for talks on pressuring Russia to end its more than 4-year war. US-led diplomatic efforts to end the fighting have stalled in recent months as Washington has shifted focus to its war with Iran. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, motorists are being advised to try and avoid several routes in the Soweto-Pimville area. This is due to a protest activity taking place along Klipspruit Valley Road and Chris Honey Road, which has led to the road closures. So please be on the lookout there and try to avoid. If you are traveling in Germiston, we still have got delays. In fact, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N3 North. That's between the Elands Interchange and Van Buren Road due to an accident, as well as roadworks along the route. There's also slow-moving traffic along the R21 South. That's in the Tembisa area. An accident reported right near the R25, causing about a 20-minute hold-up. In the city of Tshwane, there's still slow-moving traffic on the R80 East Mabopane Highway just as you approach Eskom Ahlele exit. That's due to faulty traffic lights there. Please approach with care. More updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Residents are reminded that Rand Water will undertake the second and final phase of its planned maintenance on the 17th of July from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. During these 12 hours, several Johannesburg water systems may experience poor pressure or no water. Residents are encouraged to store water in advance and use it sparingly during the maintenance period. Systems affected include Sandton, Midrand, Randburg, Roodepoort, Soweto, Lenasia, Orange Farm and surrounding systems. For updates, follow Johannesburg Water communication channels. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water, a water and sanitation utility that cares.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetall.com today. Sweetall, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
South Africa's moved from a crude importing nation to a finished product importing nation. Why is this?
We've lost a lot of the capacity and the ability to refine ourselves. What this provision is also saying is that we must have 70% of crude and 30% of refined product. But the problem is that 70% of crude still does not translate into diesel, into a bakkie.
Dr. Ernst Bullion, the head lecturer in supply chain management at IMM.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show is brought to you by Absa Rewards. Get double cash back depending on your rewards tier when an African team scores and wins at the FIFA World Cup 2026, courtesy of Visa. Use your Absa Visa card at rewards partners on match days to score. Join Absa Rewards on the banking app. Your story matters. APS is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
24 minutes before 10 o'clock. Let's continue with your thoughts on the breaking news this morning coming out of the courts around the controversial businessman Clement Manyathela, who has now ditched this plea deal with the state. He has withdrawn from the plea deal after the magistrate suggested a 12-year prison sentence as opposed to the 8 that was offered to him by the NPA. So he's now withdrawn, which means the evidence that he was going to share with the NPA implicating some senior top officials is no longer going to be used. So as you've heard from the NPA spokesperson, Kaiser Khanyago, that we spoke to in the previous half hour, he says that deal is now null and void. So they're back to square one. He says it was Clement Manyathela who actually approached the NPA and said, I want to talk. Give me a plea deal. And he says, well, now they wait for the 11th of September and they are going to apply for him to be moved back as accused number 1, together with the other officials that have been charged in this case. But yeah, the NPA spokesperson says if this plea deal went ahead, it was going to make things quite helpful and save a lot of time. I'm asking myself about Clement Manyathela's appearance at the Madlanga Commission on Wednesday. How does this affect what he could or could have shared with the Madlanga Commission? Because if the plea deal was confirmed today, I would imagine there's nothing really stopping him when he appears before the Madlanga Commission from implicating some of the top cops, the same ones he was going to implicate with the NPA when he shares evidence that he has with them. But in this case now, does it mean he's going to be more restrained in as far as the top officers are concerned that are now implicated in this corrupt scheme? Or can he still, tell it all? We wait and see. But that deal is now null and void as confirmed by the NPA. Bazima Shilowa sent me a tweet asking, Clement, is your disappointment with Manyathela for rejecting the plea deal and sentencing as amended by the magistrate, or with the magistrate for rejecting the deal as lenient, or the NPA and IDAC for a very lenient plea bargain deal? Look, I am not even apportioning any blame on anyone. I'm just saying I'm disappointed that the different parties couldn't get to an agreement that could have seen us clean out the SAPS, at least some major portions of it. I think we could have been given an opportunity here to take out some really corrupt cops that may very well still be within the system in the SAPS that we don't know about. And maybe through the information that's provided by Clement Manyathela, there can be more information that's provided. So it's not so much that it's the disappointment with the magistrate, because I get where the magistrate is coming from. It's not so much that it's a disappointment with the NPA. I also get where they're coming from. Or even Clement Manyathela, he's thinking about what's in his own best interests. Just as a South African, I'm disappointed that this plea deal is out of the window, because this would have provided an opportunity for us to hold some of these top cops that are compromised accountable. MJ, you calling us from Pretoria. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Hi, Clement. How are you?
I'm all right, man. Go ahead.
Look, my thought is, number one, just as Clement Manyathela was going to testify against some of those top cops, I am definitely sure that some of those top cops, including those that are not yet charged, like your Shadrach Sibiya, they also have other incriminating evidence against Manyathela. I don't think that those guys would have entered into a deal with somebody like Clement Manyathela and not have something to hold on in case he exposes them. So I think they could have told these lawyers that we also have this evidence against him, and they could have threatened him that should you go ahead and testify against us, we also are going to make sure that you rot in jail. And then another thing, Clement, last week there was evidence led against Andrea Johnson and some of the IDAC officials. So I think that also could have played a role to say, here is somebody who's convincing me to testify against this person. And this very same person is also facing the dark cloud. Would I count on this person to save me going forward? So I think that also could have led to him deciding, no, I can't count on Andrea Johnson and these guys, because they are also facing their own challenges. Why would you then rely on such people to actually save you? And Clement, lastly,
and of course, just before the last one, MJ, I mean, this would be certified by a court of law. So it's not really an individual's attempt. For instance, Andrea Johnson is not doing this out of her own individual and personal interest. It's actually the NPA that's actually offering the plea deal. So whether Andrea Johnson is out or the head, the point is the court would have to certify that agreement, which makes it, I would imagine, quite solid and protected.
Yes, but the issue again is the value of evidence. Maybe had they presented a credible and reliable evidence to the magistrate with regard to the sentencing, the magistrate would have thought otherwise regarding the sentence. So maybe the magistrate was not convinced as to whether Ket Matlala will definitely help the court to a level that he could have taken that sentence as it was. So I think the mere fact that the magistrate felt 12 years would be reasonable, he still doubted the value of evidence that Ket Matlala was going to give based on the agreement. And I'm asking myself, Clement, since he had already admitted that he was guilty, do you want to tell me that he didn't say anything with IDAC before they actually entered in? Because he must have actually indicated that this is what happened, and then they start from there with regard to that.
He has to be careful as well, because what's the point of just sharing your evidence with the NPA before you have signed the deal and it's confirmed? Because the NPA could come back and say, no, we don't have a deal with you, and you've already shared some quite incriminating stuff with them, and then you don't get any bargain for what you have shared. So I would imagine when you enter into a plea deal, you sort of give them a taste of what's to come. So you say, I've got evidence against maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. I can show it to you, but I need us to confirm first. Do I have a deal or not? And the NPA must also be able to say, okay, we give you the deal, but this is on condition that the people you give us evidence against, we're going to be able to send them straight to jail. You know, it works on both sides, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Hey, let's wait and see, MJ. He's going to be at the Madlanga Commission on Wednesday, and I wonder if he will touch on some of the evidence that he has that shows that some of these top senior SAPS officers were in cahoots with him, and he sent them some monies. Because maybe there are some of them who are not even arrested, that we don't know about, who have managed to just hide under the radar. But we need this man to speak, because that is going to strengthen whatever evidence that the NPA has against some of these top cops. And honestly, I don't want us to rely too much on what's come out of the Madlanga Commission, because that is not enough in a court of law. And that's not to say that evidence is not good. It's good. But in a court of law, you don't look at just circumstantial evidence. There's got to be a causality. You've got to be able to prove as the NPA beyond reasonable doubt that this money that this person gave that person was actually proceeds of fraud. You've got to be able to prove that. And unfortunately, it's not so clear. Even with Rachel Macheng, for instance, who claims, no, but I was a lover with this man. Without this man coming out and saying, I was not in a relationship with her, she's lying. In fact, I gave her those monies because she helped me with this contract, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Without Vusmuzi Ket Matlala coming out and saying that, then the case against the police, is it that strong? Or maybe they do have some kind of evidence they've uncovered. I don't know. Let's wait and see. I hope that's the case. But this deal is now null and void, and it does change the dynamics of the evidence against some top SAPS officers who are compromised.
Hey, morning, Clem. O'Brien for Clement. I'm happy about Ket withdrawing the plea deal. That tells us that the NPA, Kaizer Khanyagos, they should now, with the SIU, they should now do a proper job, Clement, because you know what was going to happen? Ket Matlala was going to mislead them in a certain way, although, yes, he was going to give them, but there was going to be a misleading involved there. So now they mustn't rely on him. They must do a proper job and do turn it in before they submit their assignment. So it gives them a credibility that this is the job of the NPA. They've done it and recheck it 5, even 20 times before they can submit the job. Unlike being told that I was working with Clement, meanwhile I was working with Bongani, Clement just passed by there. So CAT was going to mislead them. NPA, do a proper job. Turn it in before you submit that assignment. Thank you, Clement.
Okay, you catch one fish, and catching this one fish can benefit you. But you have an opportunity to use this one fish in order to catch 20 other fish. What would you do? Would you catch this one fish and go home, or use this one fish that you caught to catch 20 other fish? I don't understand. I don't understand how the court would decide that to give a maximum plea sentence where they could have offered the lowest sentence in order to sacrifice this one fish to be able to catch more fish.
Good morning, Clement. I beg to differ with you when it comes to financial fraud. It's easy to trace. You can only rely on evidence, bank accounts, and stuff like that. You can't rely on the hearsay. So I agree that this wasn't going to be beneficial for the country. For the other crimes that he committed, I agree with the deal. But for this financial crime, I don't agree at all.
Oh, I'm a bit confused. What are you not agreeing with? So the point I was trying to make is that what strengthens the evidence is when you have got the person who is accused number one, in this case, Ket Matlala, confirming that no, that money that I gave to Shadrach Sibia when he invited me to his son's wedding or birthday, that was money from the contract because he helped with the contract. That strengthens the case the NPA has against Shadrach Sibia. I don't think it's enough to say, well, Ket Matlala went to Shadrach Sibia's house and left 300,000 rand there. And therefore, we are convinced as the NPA that that is proceeds of corruption and crime. First of all, where's that money? Where have you seen the tracking of the money? Like, okay, it's fine. Maybe you saw Ket Matlala withdrawing 300,000 rand. But Ket could tell you that, yeah, I withdrew that money earlier in the day before I went to Shadrach Sibia's house, but that was for other things. That was for, I don't know, some stuff I needed to buy for our store or our company, our hospital, whatever the case is. It could go either way. And that's the point I'm making. In court, you can't just say, oh yeah, Clement, we are told by eyewitnesses that Clement received 300,000 on this day. That's not enough. You still need to be able to demonstrate beyond reasonable doubt that that 300,000 he received was a proceed of crime or corruption, fraud. Without Ket confirming that, it's going to be a bit difficult because these guys are very clever in how they steal. All these politicians, all these top cops who are compromised, they are very clever. They know that they can't be sharing their own. I mean, those who do that are very naive, quite naive. To be sharing your own personal banking details with a criminal, and you know that the person is a criminal, and they're sending money into your pocket, into your bank account, that's reckless. I mean, any rational person will see that that is too risky. So what do? You deal only with cash. Deal only with cash, because how are you ever going to establish that someone was paid or given this amount of money? You can't, unless in cases where we see Fani Kimang. Is it Fani Nkosi, the compromised cop who went to collect monies from the other guy who was arrested here in Sandton? Kima? Katiso Molefe. That guy, Fani, the top cop who went to Katiso Molefe's house and left the house with like some packages which looks like it was money. But we don't know that for sure. Is that enough to just say in a court of law that, yeah, this person was there to collect money for Shadrach Sibia? I don't think it is. I think he can come up with all sorts of excuses to demonstrate, no, I know nothing about that. But when you've got a guy who facilitated for those monies to be sent to him, say to you, we did that, and I can even show you other evidence that shows that the money was actually for that purpose, then you've got a very, very strong case. And you know for sure Shadrach Sibiya is going to jail. Can you say that for sure in the absence of Ket Matlala's evidence? I doubt it. But we wait and see. It's 9 minutes before 10.
The 18th of July marks Nelson Mandela Day, a global call to action encouraging us all to spend 67 minutes making a difference. Join the Adopt a School Foundation as we bring companies together to uplift a school in Soweto. Plant a vegetable garden, read to a learner, paint a classroom. Every act of kindness helps create a better learning environment and a brighter future. Honor Madiba's legacy, give your 67 minutes and be part of a lasting change. Visit adoptaschool.org.za for more.
Johannesburg is calling. Join thousands of Joburgers on Sunday, 26 July for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk in proud partnership with Standard Bank. Experience the energy and spirit of the City of Gold as you walk through the historic streets of Joburg CBD, celebrating a city on the rise. As an iconic brand deeply connected to Johannesburg, Standard Bank invites you to be part of a movement that's bringing communities together and showcasing the best of Josie. Starting and finishing at Ellis Park, this is more than a walk. It's a celebration of our city and its growth journey. The 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, proudly partnered by Standard Bank.
If an employee said they were struggling with anxiety, financial or family challenges, would your business know how to assist? The reality is 1 in 3 people experience mental health challenges. Kaelo Lifestyle helps employees and their families with confidential counseling, coaching, legal guidance, financial wellness, and nutrition advice. When employees get the support they need, businesses benefit from healthier, more productive teams. If you're looking to support your people and strengthen your workplace, visit kaelo.co.za. That's kaelo.co.za.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
7 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Hi, Clement. The lady was trying to say, with financial crime, you follow the money. At times, you don't need anybody's evidence. You follow the money. I mean, if I'm earning 20,000 and I've got 100,000 going into my account, I must say where it came from. So this is what the lady is trying to say, that we don't need Ket Matlala with financial crime. You follow the money. Those police people must say where they got the money from and why was it given to them. If they've got businesses, they must show us their businesses. Yeah, that's Veronica from Sprayview. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I hear that, Veronica. I'm just saying that the criminals have not been operating with bank accounts. In many cases, they're operating with cash. But also, in many cases, they're not using their own bank account. That's why they're using other people to... They must be the ones who receive the monies, and then the money can get to them in some way. They've become so sophisticated about how to steal. And that's the point I'm making. Yes, following the money is great, but how do you follow the money? How do you follow the money when there is no bank account, when there's no evidence that money's got into your business account? I mean, you can always find justification on why you were able to afford that car and that car. You could argue that your wife also works. Maybe you guys have been saving money, whatever the case is. But that doesn't prove any corruption. It doesn't. Zweli Mkhize appointed people at the health department. Or the health department appointed certain people when he was health minister. Remember the Digital Vibes scandal? Do you know how money's moved from the health department? They were moving from the health department to this agency or whatever company that was held by these people who were close to Zweli Mkhize, who were basically working for Zweli Mkhize, who used to even run his presidential campaign. It enters their account. And then from their account, where does it go? It goes to some butchery in Pietermaritzburg. And then they take it as cash. How do you link Zweli Mkhize to that? Because his fingerprints are nowhere to be found there. In fact, he could very well send someone else who is not even related to him, who's not even related to him, to go receive the cash from a butchery. So it's very difficult to follow the money when the online banking system is not being used. And that's really what I was trying to say.
Good morning, Clement and the listeners. This is Thabo Mudumela in Vanderbilt Park. I think the biggest loser is South Africa and NPA. NPA is sitting with an egg on their face.
All right, I'm going to cut that voice note. Just apologies, because I see that Andrea Johnson looks like is being rushed to hospital, so she won't be testifying anymore at the Madlanga Commission. So I want to take you there live to hear what her lawyers are saying and what the commissioners are saying.
In light of the fact that the witness is unwell and is only being attended to today, I would request that the commissioners postpone her appearance to a date to be determined. I fear that if we fix a date, a specific date, we may be back before you to seek a further postponement because she is still indisposed. That is my suggestion, but we are in the commissioner's hands.
Thank you. I noticed that this is one of those medical certificates, the nature of which I've previously said are useless in the sense that they give no information whatsoever. It's not even a case of what Mr. Bodlani said, which is confidentiality issues. It's just one of those useless so-called medical certificates.
And the chair.
But anyway, the bottom line is that Advocate Johnson is not here.
Indeed.
We are forced in the circumstances to postpone the hearing of Advocate Johnson's testimony to a date to be determined.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's okay. But do you hear how frustrated the chairperson, Madlanga, is? He even calls it this medical certificate. Apparently, she has provided the copy of the sick note. But apparently, the chair says so-called medical certificate. It's so vague. I mean, he even calls it useless. That just tells you of how unimpressed they are with how things have developed this morning. Isn't this a trend we're picking up at the Madlanga Commission? And look, I'm not suggesting she's not sick. She may very well be sick, like all the other witnesses who got sick when they were supposed to appear at the Madlanga Commission. But are you picking up a trend here? What happened with Firoz Khan before he was meant to appear? What happened with Suleiman Karim when he was meant to appear? What happened with Van Wyk from Medicare 24 when he was meant to appear? What's happened now with the head of IDAC when she was meant to appear before the Madlanga Commission this morning? What trend are you picking up? It's a minute before 10.
Big game for Alan, balancing the day-to-day, looking after his family while still planning ahead. Good thing he's with FNB Private. Service suite backing him on and off the field 24/7. His banking advisor keeps the day-to-day moving. When the game needs strategy, his private advisor steps in. And when things get more complex, the right specialists come off the bench. Everyone in position.
Switch to FNB Private. FNB. Help changes everything. FNB is a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP. T's and C's apply.
The countdown to Food Forward SA's Mandela Day Packing Event 2026 has begun. Join us Friday, 17 July, and spend your 67 minutes making a real difference. Together, we'll pack and sort groceries that will feed thousands of people facing food insecurity across South Africa. Be part of the action. Tickets are on sale now at webtickets.co.za. Food Forward SA, securing quality food, nourishing lives, in association with 702.
Start the year with We Buy Cars. Selling your vehicle, they'll come to you, handle everything and pay you instantly. Simply visit webuycars.co.za and complete the form to discover what they'll offer you. Need a new ride for the new year? Browse thousands of options online or at any We Buy Cars branch nationally. We Buy Cars, buy or sell the simple way.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. We begin with news just in. Head of the Investigative Directorate Against Corruption, Andrea Johnson, will no longer be testifying at the Madlanga Commission today. Johnson's lawyers have told the Commission just a short while ago that she's not feeling well and she has been rushed to hospital. Johnson was due to appear before the Commission this morning to respond on corruption allegations against her. We'll bring you more on this developing story in our next bulletins. In another development this morning, alleged criminal kingpin Vusmuzi Kat Matlala's plea deal has collapsed after the Pretoria Specialized Commercial Crimes Court rejected the agreed sentence and proposed a harsher punishment. The court heard this morning that Matlala is withdrawing from the agreement, then that would have seen him turn state witness. The magistrates found the proposed effective 8-year prison term was not a just sentence. Instead, the court indicated that an effective 12-year sentence would be appropriate, despite Matlala submitting an affidavit implicating senior police officers in the alleged crime or corrupt award, at least, of the 228 million rand SAPS tender. The court found the agreed sentence was too lenient given his alleged central role in the fraud. Magistrate Ignatius du Plessis says the collapse of the plea deal is now null and void.
It is your choice to withdraw from the plea and sentence agreement as you decline to accept the court's recommended sentence. Do you confirm in respect of yourself that is the position? Yes. Accused 2? Do you confirm? Yes. And accused 3? Thank you. The plea and sentence agreement is deemed to be regarded as null and void.
Johannesburg waste management entity Pick It Up says it has cleared the refuse collection backlog across affected parts of the city following the same issue that has triggered a protest by contract workers. The disruption left rubbish piling up outside homes, raising environmental and public health concerns. Pick It Up has acknowledged ongoing financial constraints and an aging fleet. The entity's CFO, Lishani Matsila, says it's working with the city of Johannesburg, which has committed funding to implement long-term solutions.
As far as we're concerned, the backlog has been cleared. There might be what we call isolated incidents where there might be being left behind, estate left behind, due to the fact that as we clear the backlog, we are no longer using the regular team that service the area. So that team might not be familiar with the area as well, and that led to 1 or 2 service points not be attended to. But we call that isolated incidents.
Some elderly residents from Limpopo village say they have no choice but to cross a makeshift bridge because it is the only way to reach the nearest clinic. The bridge connecting Mafarafara and Khataung villages near Beggersford was built by residents who've been left stranded by poor service delivery. EWN's Alpha Ramushwana travelled to Limpopo and filed this report.
A bouncy and poorly built makeshift bridge has seemingly come to the rescue of hundreds of residents from Mafarafara and Khataung. But the bridge sways from side to side with every uneven step, while the river's violent water rushes just beneath the structure. Mothers, elderly residents and the sick have no choice but to pay to cross the unsafe bridge to reach the Khataung clinic. Elderly resident Robert Malachi says many people know the bridge is a disaster waiting to happen, but adds that they have no other choice.
For 3 months after birth.
Pregnant mothers use the bridge whenever they need to rush to the clinic. What pains me is that if the bridge collapses while a pregnant woman is crossing, we would lose 2 lives.
The Fetaho, a local municipality, says it is aware of the challenges residents are facing in accessing the local clinic, but says it will escalate the matter to the provincial government. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Beggersford in Limpopo.
And Russia has fired a wave of drones and missiles at Ukraine overnight, killing 4 people, while Ukrainian strikes on Russia and Russian-occupied areas of Ukraine have killed 5 people. The strikes came a day before Ukraine's allies are set to meet in Paris, and this is for talks on pressuring Russia to end its more than 4-year war. U.S.-led diplomatic efforts to end the fighting have stalled in recent months as Washington has shifted focus to its war with Iran. The U.S. has given Ukraine permission to build U.S.-designed Patriot air defense systems capable of downing Russian ballistic missiles, but it may be months before they enter production. Gold is trading at $4,053.97 an ounce. The rand is at 16.41 to the dollar, 21.95 to the pound, 18.71 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $79.35 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 North. This is between the Elands Interchange and Van Buren Road. That's due to an accident, as well as roadworks while traveling in Bramley. Another accident reported on the M1 South, right near Corlett Drive. Delays coming out of Greyston Drive.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with isolated showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 18 and 20 degrees. The breaking story in EWN this hour. Head of Investigative Directorate Against Corruption, Andrea Johnson, will no longer be testifying at the Madlanga Commission today, with her lawyer saying that she has been taken to hospital.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
We're calling on Joburg to walk the inner city with us. In 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Babize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
8 minutes after 10 o'clock, Sanbonani Dumelang, good morning. Welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702 and for your contributions on the 702 open line. So, two breaking news this morning. In the previous hour, we were talking about Vusmuzi Ket Matala, who has now withdrawn from the plea deal that was being negotiated with the NPA. Remember, the NPA said, we'll give you 8 years. In return, give us information that's going to incriminate some top SAPS officials regarding the over 300 million rand tender that he received from the SAPS, which was later cancelled. So he has now withdrawn from that plea deal because a magistrate a few weeks ago said, 8 years, I don't agree with that. Let's rather make it 12 years. So this morning, Ket Matala announcing through his lawyers in court that he's withdrawing from the plea deal. We spoke to the NPA spokesperson Kaiser Khanyago earlier, who confirmed that the deal is now null and void. Back to square one. He also confirmed that this is not going to have an impact on the cases that the NPA has against some of the top SAPS officials. He says the NPA has evidence to take down those top SAPS officials, but he says the testimony of Vusmuzi Ket Matala was going to be helpful and it was going to save a lot of time. So that's what we discussed in the previous hour. I'm more concerned about what this means for the other cases the NPA has against some top SAPS officials, especially given that, there's a lot of complexity here. And maybe this deal, the way it was negotiated by the NPA, was fair based on the complexities of the case. And the case is quite complex because it's not as clear-cut as monies you can see following bank accounts. In some cases it is, but in some other cases there was cash that was being dealt with, and I worry that may bring up quite a challenging dynamic for the NPA to prove causality. But we wait and see. So that's the first breaking news story we've been discussing in the previous hour. The second breaking news story is around the head of IDAC, Andrea Johnson. We were planning to take you live to the Madlanga Commission this morning to hear from Andrea Johnson because she has been implicated last week at the Madlanga Commission. Apparently, she once tried to help Firoz Khan to understand or know more about a complaint against him. So someone laid a criminal complaint against Firoz Khan, the top intelligence officer who's now in hospital. And Andrea Johnson then sent a certain lady an email with the complainant's details and then told that lady, please, can you print this out and give it to Firoz Khan? I mean, that is defeating the ends of justice, no? Because Firoz Khan had not even been asked for a statement. But what this does is you are putting him at an advantageous position where he can now think about, how am I going to craft my response to this criminal complaint? Because they now have this statement from the complainant. It's like what happened when Julius Malema asked Firoz Khan for details of a complainant in the VBS matter. I mean, they sent Julius Malema the case, the complainant's details, and even address. I mean, that puts even the complainant at risk because that's information that's not even being sought through official channels, being sought through backdoor channels. So now we're sitting with the Madlanga Commission where Andrea Johnson apparently is sick and has been rushed to hospital, but the commission didn't seem impressed. The chair of the commission, Madlanga, was even calling it a so-called medical certificate, called it useless as well because of how vague it is. But there's a trend that we're picking up here. And I wonder what you think it says about either the commission itself or the people who suddenly are getting sick or getting short or getting into hospitals when they are supposed to appear before the Madlanga Commission. Let's start with some of your responses on the WhatsApp line on 072 702 1702.
Hey, Clement. Yeah, young, hey. Madlanga. Hey, it makes you sick, eh? It's a virus. People are catching on to it. Mostly those that are accused. My, people are getting sick, eh? This thing must not catch me.
Hi, Clement. Tabo here from Pretoria. I think the trend that I'm picking up is that these guys, they are suffering from Madlanga phobia. Madlanga phobia, it's something that scares them from facing Madlanga questions. So it's Madlanga phobia. When you get Madlanga phobia, you need a medical certificate, a useless medical certificate, and you go to the hospital.
Hello, Clement. Yeah, man. Yeah, maybe she's sick, man. Usually there's a Monday sickness. And yeah, that Monday sickness goes together with the useless sick notes. Thank you, Clemmy. Sharp, sharp. Anonymous.
Morning, Clement. I'm getting a little concerned about all these medical emergencies. My fear is that the Madlanga ward in the hospital is going to be completely overrun. And you know how bad the staff shortage is at the moment. With this Madlanga-litis that's going around, it seems to be really, really catchy and very, very infectious. So I have a grave concern. This is Dave in Florida Hills.
She's running, Clement, to Mill Park Hospital in Johannesburg to join Khan and Karim. Cry, my beloved country. They're afraid to meet Madlanga Commission, Clement.
Guys, this is wild. So I would understand if this was like what do you call it? I would understand if this was a separate, and unique case. I'm forgetting the word that I want to use. Isolated is the word I'm looking for. I would get it if this was an isolated case, but it's not. Karim did it. When he tried to go to court and he couldn't win there to try and postpone and avoid appearing before the Madlanga Commission. He lost there, and then he tried to come up with other tricks. Didn't work until he had to appear. And then he appeared and he saw how disastrous it was. And then when he's supposed to return, and then we are told, oh, he's actually in hospital. Okay, cool. Maybe that's a unique case. And then Brown Mokhotsi is supposed to appear before the Madlanga Commission, and then suddenly there's an attempted assassination on him, which now we understand could have been self-made. The police are now investigating him. He's arrested. They're investigating him for staging his own assassination. Okay, maybe that's a unique case. Let's move to the next one. Van Wyk, the CEO of Medicare 24. He was busy running around, rushing to ENCA, doing exclusive interviews with them, because News 24 was going to reveal and release an explosive story on him. He's running around for a right of, it was really a right of reply, but to ENCA, can you imagine? News 24 is writing about you, but you're running to another media house for a right of reply, but you still haven't responded adequately to questions News 24 asked you. Okay, he was supposed to appear before the Madlanga Commission, and then what happens 2 weeks ago? We're told he's got severe anxiety. Okay, let's move on to the next one. That's Van Wyk, Medicare 24 CEO. There's overwhelming evidence against him, which was already led at the Madlanga Commission, even in his absence. Let's move to Firoz Khan. Firoz Khan is supposed to appear on the eve of his appearance at the Madlanga Commission. What happens? There's what could be an attempted assassination, or maybe it was just a random criminal hijacking, who knows? Or maybe it was something that was staged. Again, who knows? Because anything is possible. We've seen it before. So he is now somewhere in hospital, recovering from the shooting. And then this morning, we hear from Andrea Johnson, who was supposed to appear before the commission. And now the commission says, well, it appears he's sick. She's sick. She's been rushed to hospital. Yeah. It's 18 minutes after 10 o'clock.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
Tabiso Koba is our EWN reporter who has been following the developments at the Madlanga Commission. He's joining us now on the line for a quick update. Tabiso, thank you so much for coming through. So, Andrea Johnson, do we know if she was already on her way to the Madlanga Commission, or if she had already arrived there when she got sick and had to be sent to hospital?
Good morning, Clement. What we understand from the lawyers, well, I can tell you that she wasn't present at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College in Pretoria. But what we've heard from her lawyers is that on her way to the Madlanga Commission this morning, she started feeling unwell, and then they had to divert her to a hospital. So obviously, the health complications that she suffered are something of a private nature, so they weren't disclosed. But the lawyers for Andrea Johnson, they did submit a sick note to the Madlanga Commission saying that she has been admitted to hospital. So the incident happened while she was on her way to the Bridget Mabandla Justice College in Pretoria, where the Madlanga Commission is being held.
Okay, so and did they indicate the seriousness of the health issues at all, the lawyers?
No, they didn't. As they said, the lawyer said it was it's something that has just happened now, and it's something obviously that's a bit confidential to reveal out in the public. They have submitted a sick note to the Madlanga Commission, and that sick note has her booked off or booked sick for at least the rest of this week. So that means you also won't be able to appear tomorrow. And there was also another reason that the chairperson of the Madlanga Commission, Mr. Mbuyiseni Madlanga, said that he's going to be postponing Ms. Andrea Johnson's testimony to a later date. They don't want to determine the date yet because the sick note that was submitted to the commission doesn't necessarily say how serious her condition is. So they're still going to be waiting for more information around how serious that condition is, considering that it obviously took place this morning.
Okay, got you. And I heard, Tabiso, the chair of the commission was not too impressed with even the sick note, because he kept calling it useless. He said it's the so-called medical certificate. And I know he's raised concerns before at the commission about people who are trying to evade being put on that hot seat, and they come up with all sorts of excuses, which may also include health issues and them being hospitalized, being booked off. Did the commission ever come up with some kind of a solution on how to avoid these constant sort of attempts from people to avoid appearing there?
Well, it is always a very difficult situation, because you can imagine, Clement, that there's quite a number of things to consider. Yes, the chairperson, Madlanga, was a bit unhappy with the sick note that was provided to him this morning, saying that, it doesn't go necessarily into detail in terms of what exactly happened or what exactly are these health complications and what the seriousness of it is. And it's one of the reasons that the Madlanga Commission has been extended, because we know just over the past couple of months, we've had Mr. Mike van Wyk falling sick. We've had Suleiman Karim. He's also fallen sick a couple of times. But even if you go back during the earlier times of the commission, we've had quite a number of witnesses falling sick. And it doesn't seem like the commission has had to find a way in terms of, trying to deal with this. One of those ways they've found a way is to continue with reading evidence into record while the witness is in absentia. However, Clement, that could not happen today, because the evidence leader, who's Mahlape Silo, saying that she can't read into record the evidence that the commission has against Miss Andrea Johnson. And part of the reason is that the evidence they have is a bit narrative in nature. Whereas then if you take, for example, Mr. Mike van Wyk, that was solid evidence that doesn't necessarily need a comment from him. If he said one thing, bank statements, those are objective evidence. They don't necessarily need an opinion. Whereas in here, the commission saying that the evidence they kindly have against Miss Andrea Johnson is a bit narrative, and it's something that she would have to lend her opinion to. So they can't employ that method of reading the evidence into record in her absence.
Okay. Tabiso Koba, EWN reporter. Thank you. It's 23 after 10.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
All right, keep your calls and your WhatsApps coming through, responding to what we're hearing this morning out of the Madlanga Commission, that Andrea Johnson has now been rushed to hospital. She's sick and she's been booked off, so she's unable to appear before the commission as planned this morning. I want to bring in Karen Mon now, who is a legal journalist with News 24, because she was there last week when evidence was presented which sort of implicates Andrea Johnson in possible wrongdoing here. Karen, thank you so much for also coming through. I really appreciate it. Can you help our listeners just understand what sort of questions Andrea Johnson was meant to get this morning? Why did the commission need her to appear?
Well, essentially, IDAC has been at the center of this commission for quite a while. We know that there's been a lot of criticism leveled at it in relation to certain crime intelligence investigations and prosecutions that it's pursuing. Of course, we also know that it's pursuing that pivotal 360 million rand Medicare 24 district company contract, which, according to the state, was laden and defined by corruption, and about which Vusi Kat Matlala was set to enter into a plea agreement, which he has subsequently withdrawn from. Of course, that will have significant implications, because the state was intending to issue warrants for the arrest of a number of high-profile police officers not named in Matlala's plea deal, but which he would have testified against if and when his cooperation with that investigation had been secured. So, literally moments before, less than an hour, I think, before she's due to appear, Andrea Johnson would have learned that, this had happened. I'm sure she would have had forewarning. But according to her protectors, then getting rushed to hospital. But the most pivotal stuff that she has to answer directly to, and I think which has gripped public imagination, is this testimony about several police, one former IDAC official who worked for the Hawks, Kobus Relifse, and a number of other witnesses that essentially implicated her in emailing the contents of a docket, an assault docket that had been opened against Major General Feroz Khan in 2018 in relation to an altercation between him and a fellow police officer, and which included the contents of that docket, an audio recording of that altercation, her A1 statement, which of course details the alleged assault, and as what we understand, the J88 form, which documented the bruises that had been found on her body and the injuries that she had sustained during this incident, in which he was alleged to have, sort of punched her skin or not perforated, but essentially pushed a pen against her skin to the point where it bruised. So, in the normal course of events, as Relifse said, and he has got an excellent reputation in IDAC. He had been responsible for pursuing a number of the crucial state capture cases. He has a very good reputation. He has, amongst other things, worked with Matthew Chaskelson, who is an evidence leader in the Madlanga Commission. He said that essentially what this enabled Feroz Khan to do, and according to the time frame that we heard in the Commission last week, was to prepare a statement in response to the evidence that had been, the claims and the allegations that had been leveled against him. And therefore, this could potentially amount to defeating the ends of justice, because Clement, in the normal course of events, accused people are only entitled to the contents of a docket if and when they are charged and put on trial. It's precisely because investigators want to get to the truth of what's happened that they avoid a situation in which someone has preemptive knowledge of the allegations being leveled against them. In that kind of specific detail, and essentially, according to Relifse, this would have allowed Khan to tailor his testimony. Of course, some of the more glaring dimensions of the evidence given by witness O, who was the colonel who had received the email, was that Andrea Johnson utilized her Gmail address, wanted witness O to utilize her Gmail address, and then instructed her to delete the email after she received it, which she did not do. And Willis is saying in his evidence that if she had deleted the email, none of this would have come to light. And of course, we know, Clement, that this is itself the subject of a docket that has now been handed, as my understanding, to the NPA, or is in the process of a decision being made about whether or not Andrea Johnson is going to face prosecution in relation to that incident.
What are the chances that she may find some justification here, if at all, Karen? Because, she could say, it was an error of judgment. But then again, if you look at some of the actions she has done in the past, which included her sitting in interviews where her husband was being interviewed for a job at the Scorpions. She did say that, I recused myself from the panel, but at the end of the day, indirectly, she's sort of involved there in who they chose to be the candidate for that job ultimately. Could she come and say, error of judgment, like that time when I shouldn't have stayed in interviews when my husband was applying for a job? Or there's no way to get out of this one, especially if that colonel is available to also testify and confirm that I did get this email and instruction from Andrea Johnson in 2018?
Well, the colonel did testify. Witness O did testify last week, and she basically asked to testify in camera because she said she didn't want, this evidence to potentially impact on her career within the police. But she was clearly a career police officer, sort of softly spoken Afrikaans woman, who said that she had known Andrea Johnson from her leading, being one of the key prosecutors in the Oscar Pistorius matter. And she had decided to come forth about this in 2022 when Andrea Johnson was appointed as head of IDAC, because she had severe misgivings about what had happened here and the way in which it had happened. The other issue that complicates the situation somewhat, and I think the Commission is going to have to deal with this in relation to Matlala as well, is that we now know from the evidence that was given by one of the other officers involved in this investigation, who is not retired, Mark McCain, that a docket has been handed to the NPA. The NPA needs to make a decision. So she could potentially invoke her Section 35 rights, constitutional rights against self-incrimination, when she if and when she testifies, and say, look, I don't wish to testify about this because it incriminates me at a time where the NPA is considering whether or not to charge me. Whether or not that their commission accepts that remains to be seen. But Rilifsa also was at pains when he testified to say, look, I talked, she knew that she was under investigation for this. She called me into her office because we had asked General Labia, who was then the head of the Hawks, to ask Shamila Batoy to appoint a prosecutor to make a decision on this case, because we both worked within IDAC and we felt that a decision should be made because she's our boss, essentially.
Yeah.
And it was during that process, he said, that it was his belief, based on the evidence that Shamila Batoy had then disclosed the complaint made by the colonel, the whistleblower report made by the colonel to Andrea Johnson, and she had then sent to Rilifsa, basically demonstrating that she had understanding of this. And then, of course, according to him his evidence, subsequently spoke to Barry Bateman about it, and the journalist who had sent her that material in the first place, and sort of indicated that he had nothing to worry about. And she also told Rilifsa that she'd done nothing wrong. And Rilifsa's contention was, maybe if she'd said to me, look, it was a fundamental error of judgment, as you said, or Khan tricked me, I didn't realize what I was doing, etc., etc. He says none of that happened. And that, of course, would be one of the things that she would face questions about in this context if she decided that, she indeed wanted to address those questions.
All right, Karen Mon, let me thank you for giving us further context around the testimony that was meant to be, but isn't, of the head of IDAC, Andrea Johnson. It's 10:32. I'll come to a few of your WhatsApp voice notes before we move into our next conversation, just right after the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Fiso, hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Head of the Investigative Directorate Against Corruption, Andrea Johnson, will no longer be appearing before the Madlanga Commission today, and this is due to an undisclosed health complication. Johnson's lawyers told the Commission this morning that she was rushed to hospital. She was due to testify today on corruption allegations against her, including on a questionable relationship with tainted crime intelligence top cop Feroz Khan. In the Western Cape, a court inquest into the death of Anele Tembe has been postponed to September due to a medical emergency. The formal hearing was set to proceed in the Cape Town Magistrates Court today, but it's been rescheduled now because the magistrate is sick. And police have disputed claims by British authorities that a man arrested in connection with the death or murder of his wife and 2 children entered South Africa twice. National Police spokesperson Athlenda Mate has told EWN that Ndodana Chuma arrived in the country through OR Tambo International Airport on the 5th of July. Mate says police records show Chuma did not leave South Africa before his arrest in Johannesburg on Friday, as stated by UK authorities. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, traveling in Bramley along the M1 South, we've got that accident right near the Coilette Drive exit is causing heavy delays coming out of the Greyston Drive off-ramp. Please be on the lookout there. While traveling in the city of Tshwane, we still have got delays on the R80 East approaching Eskom Patlele Drive. That's due to faulty traffic lights there. There's also queuing traffic along the N3 North. This is between the Airlines Interchange and Van Buren Road. That's due to an accident, as well as roadworks that are taking place along this route. The M2 East is also heavily backed up coming out of Cleveland Road as a result. And then if you're traveling in the Soweto area, particularly Pimville and Mofolo South, we still have got protest activities along the Klipspruit Valley Road as well as Chris Honey Road. The road has been closed off to traffic as a result. Please try to avoid. More updates at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Corporates that care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates that care this Wednesday at 10 to 9, featuring MTN. The Group Chief Sustainability and Corporate Affairs Officer Nompilo Morafo will be in conversation with Bangani Bingwa. Join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates that care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702. Let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
Don't miss the last week of the Checkers XXL Savings Championship. Get Nescafe Gold Caffeinated Instant Coffee, 200 or 230 grams for $149.99. Knorr Mates Meal Kit. Buy any two and get a third free. Save 43 Rand. And Clover Olive Pride blend of seed oils and extra virgin olive oil. 1 litre, 2 for 150 Rand. Valid until 19 July. Only at Checkers.
What is your business here?
You didn't start your business to play it safe. You took the leap, made the bold move, and now it's time to make the next one. This week, 702 and Budget Business Insurance are giving small businesses the chance to win their share of 100,000 Rand with the Budget BizBucks Bonanza. Enter on primemediaplus.com. Tell us about the boldest move you've ever made in your business and what your next one will be. Then get an obligation-free Budget Business Insurance quote. 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa could call you. Budget Insurance is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's apply.
Your voice,
your questions,
your morning radio with Clement Manyathela.
This is 702.
It's 24 minutes before 11 o'clock. We're going to get into our series in a moment, which we started last week, looking at some of the events that have embarrassed our government and, by extension, of course, this country. And last week we started by looking at the Bushiri escape. And part of why we do this is to just get an update, because there are these stories that have been so wild, and sometimes we just move swiftly along like nothing happened. I mean, the fact that there was a kingpin in illegal mining in the Northwest whom the police helped escape, that's wild. And I think we need to constantly, keep putting the pressure on even the SAPS and constantly ask them, what update do you have for us? Have you got any leads? Because they arrested some SAPS officers. Are they not talking? Have they not said who told them and gave them an instruction to release that person? Or are they protecting whoever is on top in the hierarchy, who probably issued that instruction? So that's part of the reason why we're doing this feature. So last week we started by looking at the Bushiri escapes. Today we're going to look at the escape of Thabo Bester from prison and how he faked his death. And I'm going to bring in a reporter who has been covering the story from the beginning to help you understand where things are at this moment as well. But before we get into that, let's play some of your WhatsApp voice notes that have come through responding to the conversation we had before the headlines. Andrea Johnson, a no-show at the Madlanga Commission. Her lawyers are saying that she got sick suddenly and she has had to be rushed to hospital. A story that truly, truly sounds familiar to that of other witnesses who also had to go to hospital on the day they were supposed to be put on the hot seat at the Madlanga Commission.
Clement it. Hi. People are getting sick, Baba. People are getting left, right, bottom, center. Very soon, Madlanga has to go to the hospital and deal with them right there. All of them.
Morning, Mr. Manyathela. But can you say what these people are doing? I mean, I think they're making it obvious now. Why suddenly when they have to appear, there's sickness, there's medical certificates and all that. These people, they must just be told. I think it's high time they must be told. This thing of hiding behind medical certificate, it won't work. It won't work. Though yes, Clement, you are sick. There's nothing we can do. But then the commission, I think, should come up with some other way of doing this, because I mean, you can't be doing wrong for the state and then when it's time to account, you know where to be found. You are sick. Mr. Manyathela, this thing, it's obvious. We can see. I mean, the whole country can see. That's it. It's put from Zirbecom.
But let's be honest, guys. Wouldn't you be sick when you were called to appear before Madlanga Commission? I can tell you, I would be sick. I would be probably on my deathbed. Just think, imagine, and they're telling you, Mahlape Solo. is going to be leading evidence, or Chaskalson is going to be leading evidence. Are you kidding me? I'm also getting sick. I've got a stomach bug or serious flu that's doing the rounds. It's caught me suddenly. Or, and this was probably the best for me, anxiety. Because Van Wyk said that, right? He couldn't appear before the Madlanga Commission because he apparently suffers from anxiety. But for some reason, he appeared on a whole TV channel, on a news show, and was telling his side of the story. But now that that has to be tested at the commission suddenly, on my anxiety.
Hi, Clement. No. Bayabaleka. One by one, they will get sick. One by one, they will be admitted to hospital. One by one. Yeah. I Madlanga.
Clement and the team. With the people being sick, when I can see Karim because he's not hired by the state, and I can see Van Wyk is not hired by the state, but he just so happens to do business with the state. But when it comes to Johnson and Khan, they work for us, the citizen of this country. They need to account to us, so they can't be running away. They can't be happy to go to parliament because they will be glorified, whatever. And then now when they're supposed to account to us, the public, that they hold office for, they can't account. That's wrong. They need to account.
Yeah.
They work for us as the citizen, so they need to account. I mean, if you're not accounting for so long, this is what happens. When it's time for you to account, you just feel like you don't need to.
There's some pictures now. Oh, this is so funny. There are pictures doing rounds now on social media, but there's a listener who's literally just sent a picture now. Tobejani just sent a picture on the WhatsApp line of the Madlanga ward in hospital. So, I mean, this is, of course, an AI picture, but in this picture, you can see Firoz Khan, bed 1. Bed 2, you see Karim. And then bed 3, you see Van Wyk. And this is called the Madlanga ward at the hospital. It's so funny. And now Andrea Johnson is about to join that ward. But I guess for me, I wonder if there are protections in place. Because, first of all, I hope Andrea is not being sent to Mill Park Hospital. And if that is the case, I wonder if there are protections in place to make sure that she doesn't get to even come across or be on the same wing or floor with Firoz Khan, if that's where he is in hospital. I hope so, because otherwise, who knows what conversations they could have. Well, that's if Firoz Khan is conscious now, because his family was saying a week or so ago that he was still unconscious. But are the police thinking about that? Because it looks like we're dealing with like quite sophisticated stuff here that you normally see in movies. So anything is possible. So let's just hope there are protections in place that these people in hospitals don't come across each other during breakfast or lunch, or if they have to somehow meet in a communal area. 17 minutes now before 11 o'clock.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
All right, let's continue with that series that we started last week, looking at some of the stories that have embarrassed our government and our country by extension. And I want us to also find out what the update is with those stories. And we're doing this because we shouldn't let our government and law enforcement agencies off the hook and just move on here. We need to put pressure on them to resolve some of these cases that have left the image of this country blemished, right? Whether it's the Thabo Bester escape from prison, the escape of Tiger, that illegal mining kingpin. In fact, it's not the escape of Tiger, because they actually helped him. He didn't really escape. They just put him in a fancy car and drove him off, when they knew that that's a kingpin of illegal mining in the Northwest. So he didn't escape. They just transported him. They helped him, moved him to a safe environment. We still don't know where this man is. Chances are he's not even in this country anymore. The people who allowed him to escape or who helped him have been arrested. Are you telling me that they have not said where they got the instruction from? Do you think that they really acted on their own? So we need to constantly ask the police, what are they telling you? How far are investigations? Or maybe it's the AI policy blunder. These are the stories that have really left our country embarrassed, and I think we deserve an update on where things are. So we started last week by looking at the escape of the Bushiris, and today we are discussing Thabo Besta's escape from prison, because that daring prison break of this convicted rapist and murderer, dubbed the Facebook rapist, from the Mangaung Correctional Center, which was run by security company G4S, left many people open-mouthed with each revelation about how this man managed to flee prison and live undetected for a year. But also it exposed quite a stunning level of official incompetence. There are questions about the management of privately run institutions. I mean, Dr. Nandi Pamakudumana and Besta became criminal internet sensations overnight when Ground Up broke the story that Besta, initially believed to have died in the Mangaung prison fire, was still alive and in fact hiding in plain sight. So we've invited Khomotso Modise, who is our EWN reporter, who happens to have also covered the story. It looks like, Khomotso, you're specializing on stories of these people who escape. We spoke to you last week about the Bushiris who escaped, and today we're looking at Thabo Besta's escape. Can you take us back to the beginning? What really transpired that then led to the revelations that this man is still very much alive?
Good morning, Clement. Yeah, actually, when I received the call for this story, I realized the same thing, that this has become my life. The Thabo Besta saga, I just remember being in the newsroom, Clement, when we learned of this through Ground Up and what had been trending on social media about the escape of this man, Thabo Besta. And his case had been covered, nowhere near on the same scale as his escape was. There had been some coverage about his murder case in KZN, and we'd known, and I'd remembered that there had been a sentencing and he had been sentenced to life, but we hadn't heard much about him and about his imprisonment after that case. We then learned, though, that, from Ground Up, that it seemed that this convict, a person who was serving life at the Mangaung Correctional Facility, had escaped, and links had been drawn to a very popular doctor, someone who's been described as a celebrity doctor, Nandi Pamakudumane, who had graced many interviews on television and on popular podcasts, and she was a well-known figure. And so when that story broke, Clement, I think really we were all trying to corroborate and find out exactly what was happening. In fact, my editor at the time, I remember her saying, "Khomotso, find me Thabo Besta." And of course, the coverage then developed over time, and we understood then that the police were onto them and they had crossed the border, having left South Africa. And ultimately, in a few days, we then learned that they were in Tanzania, and there was a process underway to have them brought back into South Africa. And really, it's one of those stories that played out over days, where the South African government was very intentional about making sure that they are brought back onto South African soil, which we ultimately saw, a process that is currently being challenged in our courts.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, one of the things that shocked me, I remember I was driving on a Sunday afternoon and I got a statement from the Justice Minister. Was it Justice? Yeah, Justice Minister. At the time, it was Ronald Lamola, who was confirming that, yes, indeed, this appears to be the case. This man is alive. He did escape, and now there are investigations as to how he was able to fake his own death. Can you help our listeners understand, maybe just remind them of the players that were involved here? Because there's a whole list of people who helped Thabo Besta not only enjoy life in prison through gadgets being made available to him, or him going to a guest house or hotel nearby to go spend the night with Makudumana, to the point when they had to escape, then fake the death, people who had to be killed for their body to be in the prison cell. So there's a long list of people who assisted them with this escape.
That's right, Clement. So, I mean, the one thing that that was clear when I saw the indictment and I saw the court papers and what the state is accusing Bester and he's co-accused of is that this was quite a detailed plan. A number of people, as you say, were involved in this allegedly, and from the local mortuary in Bloemfontein to what then happened at the G4S prison, there were systems that were in place to make this escape possible. And that's what the state is going to have to prove now in court. You've got, of course, Nandipha Makudumana, who is Thabo Bester's alleged accomplice, who had been making those trips from the G4S prison to the local mortuary to organize a body to, stage the entire thing. And of course, this is all still an allegation that must be proved. There's also Nandipha Makudumana's father, Zolile Sekeleni, who's also accused of being part of that process, particularly when it comes to the local mortuary in Bloemfontein. There's also G4S security guards, and I think that's a part of the story that everyone continued to be quite surprised and shocked at, because the G4S prison had been thought to be one of the most secure facilities in this country. I think before Thabo Bester, there'd only been one other escape that was reported, if I remember correctly. And so the fact that security guards at this private security prison that was thought to be one of the most secure prisons in the country, the fact that they were accused of being part of this was another shocking part of the story. But there seemed to have been a very well-developed web here, Clement, of people that were stationed either at the prison to make the escape seamless, either to, were in on the fire that happened in the prison cell, being able to place the body of Katlego Bering there, who was believed to be Thabo Bester, and the person that was believed to have died in the prison cell as Thabo Bester. All of that needed players to be strategically placed in specific places to make this happen. And so the state is charging all of them. What I think is interesting is that the state has had to make a number of changes in the number of accused over the last couple of years. Initially, we'd seen over 11 people that were charged, and some of them also being from the G4S prison. But the state has since dropped some charges against some of those who are accused to have been part of this, Clement, including some G4S personnel. But as things stand currently, we still do have some former G4S employees that are charged and accused of having been part of the placing the body there, part of knowing that the fire was meant to assist in Thabo Bester's escape, and even being stationed at the gate at the G4S prison to ensure that the vehicle is able to leave with Thabo Bester alive and well.
Yeah. Modise, I'm going to take a quick ad break. When we come back, we'll just wrap up our conversation, including a clip I'll play for you from the Department of Correctional Services. They sent us a voice note on them ending their agreement with G4S, that security company that was responsible for that prison where Thabo Bester escaped from. But yeah, I want to know from you as well, what has shocked you the most about the story? Do you think we're ever going to get to the bottom of this? Do you suspect that it's going to be another long years of trials taking place, and then we're likely to see finality on this at a later stage? Let me know your thoughts. 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702.
Mama Million here, and yes, I am a millionaire. Don't you want to be a millionaire fast? Because now you can play Lotto quick, fast, in a hurry with Shasha codes. Shasha codes are a QR code you can generate, walk into any participating retailer, scan and print your ticket instantly. In and out. Fast, win-win. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizakai.
You feel it long before it hits, the rumble of something big. That's 10Bet, where the stakes rise and every online game hits like lightning. Deposit 50 Rand or more and get the welcome offer package of up to 5,000 Rand. Join now at 10bet.co.za. 10Bet is a licensed betting operator and supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 shall be permitted to bet. Betting can be addictive. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help 076 675 0710.
Joburg, it's time to show up for our city. On Sunday, the 26th of July, join thousands of Joburgers for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, proudly partnered by Standard Bank. Walk through the heart of Johannesburg, celebrate its rich history, and experience the exciting growth taking place in the CBD. As a committed partner invested in the future of our city, Standard Bank invites you to be part of a movement helping to build a stronger, safer, and more vibrant Josie for generations to come. Register today and take part in the walk that brings together Johannesburg. The 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, proudly partnered by Standard Bank.
702.
The Clement Manyathela Show.
Let's walk the talk.
5 minutes before 11 o'clock, we have been talking to Khomotso Modise this morning about the other story that has embarrassed this country and our government. That's the escape of Thabo Bester from prison and him faking his own death. Last week we focused on the escape of the Bushiris, and believe it or not, 9 years later, none of our law enforcement agencies can tell us what really happened here. And similarly so with Thabo Bester, well, we've got some leads. There's some evidence that's been revealed about who played what part, but still quite far from the matter being finalized. Here's a voice note we got from Singabako Ngumalo, who is the national spokesperson at the Department of Correctional Services, when we asked them to join us for this conversation. Here's an update they thought is perhaps most important to share with you.
The Department of Correctional Services has officially assumed full management and operational responsibility of Mangaung Correctional Center, now renamed Grootfontein Maximum Correctional Center. This facility will operate under the Grootfontein Management Area in the Free State Northern Cape region. This transition follows the conclusion of a 25-year public-private partnership agreement between the department and Bloemfontein Correctional Contracts, BCC, operated by G4S, which came to an end on the 30th of June 2026.
So that's Singabako Ngumalo, who is the national spokesperson at the Department of Correctional Services. Khomotso, as we wrap up, what can we expect next? So how far is the criminal case against both Thabo Bester, Makutumana, and the other co-accused? And are we likely to see trial beginning anytime soon?
Well, Clement, there have been several interlocutory applications, I'm sure, that you know and have seen. Thabo Bester approaching several courts for a number of things. At some point, he's been applying for a laptop. At some point, he brought an application to be moved from the eBongweni prison. So that has been playing out parallel to the main pre-trial. And of course, Nandipha Makudumana has her matter currently before the Constitutional Court, where she's challenging the lawfulness of her arrest. So that's also playing out in the Court. And depending on the outcome of that matter in the Court, I think Makudumana's lawyers believe that if they find in her favor, then she may then be off the hook and no longer be an accused in this matter. Now, the trial itself, we've been seeing the trial date being pushed back several times. At some point, we were told it would begin in June this year, and then it was pushed down to about August this year. And I think the current estimated date is January next year, 2027. And that's because there have been changes in legal representatives from all the accused. And this is something that happens quite a bit, Clement, when there's a matter with several accused. We're currently sitting with 9 accused. So you do expect an administrative nightmare when things like this happen. So currently we are expecting the trial to begin in January 2027 with the 9 accused, including Thabo Bester and Dr. Nandipha Magwenya and her father, Zolile Sekeleni.
Khomotso Modise, EWN reporter, thank you. It's a minute now before 11 o'clock. When you're walking the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk on Sunday, the 26th of July, keep your eyes open because Mazda is bringing wonder to the 8-kilometer route. There'll be 5 Mazda Wonder experiences, including a piano performance, a world of color, a bubble fill, the Japanese garden, and the Mazda Wonder Hub. Visit one of the 5, then capture and share your wonder moment on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. Tag and follow at Mazda SA using hashtag Mazda SA, and you could win your share of 50,000 Rand. Mazda, where wonder awaits. T's and C's apply.
At the 702 Josie Majosi Walk the Talk, snap and share any one of 5 Mazda Wonder experiences using hashtag MazdaSA to stand a chance to win a share of 50,000 Rand. This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Head of the Investigative Directorate Against Corruption, Andrea Johnson, will no longer be appearing before the Madlanga Commission today due to undisclosed health complications. Johnson's lawyers told the Commission this morning that she was rushed to hospital. She was due to testify today on corruption allegations against her, including her questionable relationship with tainted crime intelligence top cop Feroz Khan. Her lawyer, Apla Botlani, informed the evidence leaders this morning.
Shortly before my arrival on the venue this morning, the representative of the client received a telephone call from one of Advocate Johnson's protectors, informing us that she is not able to be with us. They are rushing her to hospital. I don't know what has happened.
This happened this morning?
This happened this morning, as we were on the way to the venue.
Alleged criminal kingpin Vusmuzikat Matlala's plea deal has collapsed after the Pretoria Specialized Commercial Crimes Court rejected the agreed sentence and proposed a harsher punishment. The court heard this morning that Matlala is withdrawing from the agreement that would have seen him turn state witness. The magistrates found the proposed effective 8-year prison term was not a just sentence. Instead, the court indicated that an effective 12-year sentence would be appropriate, despite Matlala submitting an affidavit implicating senior officers or police officers in the alleged corrupt award of the 228 million rand SAPS tender. The court found the agreed sentence was too lenient given his alleged central role in the fraud. Magistrate Ignatius Dupree says the collapse of the plea deal is now null and void.
It is your choice to withdraw from the plea and sentence agreement as you decline to accept the court's recommended sentence. Do you confirm in respect of yourself that is the position? Yes. Accused 2? Do you confirm? Yes. And accused 3? Yes. Thank you. The plea and sentence agreement is deemed to be regarded as null and void.
In the Western Cape, a court inquest into the death of Anele Dembe has been postponed due to a medical emergency. The formal hearing was set to proceed in the Cape Town Magistrates Court today, but it was rescheduled because the magistrate is sick. Dembe was 22 years old when she fell from the 10th floor of a hotel in Cape Town in 2021. She was engaged to slain rapper Keenan aka Forbes at the time. Carlo Peterson has more.
6 witnesses were this week expected to testify in a 3-day hearing into Anele Tembe's death. However, the matter was postponed after presiding magistrate Vanessa Daimler informed the court she had experienced an unavoidable medical emergency. National Prosecuting Authority spokesperson Eric Ntambazalila explains.
It was expected to start this morning, but unfortunately it had to be postponed as the presiding officer in the matter had to attend to a medical emergency. Yes.
The inquest was set down from today to Wednesday to revisit the events leading up to Tembe's death and determine whether anyone can be held legally responsible. The matter was postponed to the 7th of September for the hearing to resume. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News, Cape Town Magistrates Court.
And police have disputed claims by British authorities that a man arrested in connection with the murder of his wife and 2 children entered South Africa twice. National Police spokesperson Athlenda Mate has told EWN that Ndodana Chuma arrived in the country through OR Tambo International Airport on the 5th of July. Mate says police records show Chuma did not leave South Africa before his arrest in Johannesburg on Friday. Chuma is appearing in the Johannesburg Magistrates Court this morning after the UK requested his extradition. The bodies of his wife and his daughters aged 5 and 15 were discovered at their home in the east of England 2 days after Chuma left the country. Mate has praised the police's crime intelligence unit for its role in tracking down and arresting him.
He landed in the country on the 5th of July and he's remained in South Africa. He checked into one of the hotels, which is an address that we have visited, and he then stayed in several addresses in the Kensington area, hence his arrest in the Kensington area before he was about to move to another address.
Gold is trading at $4,053.97 an ounce. The rand is at 16.41 to the dollar, 21.95 to the pound, 18.71 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $79.35 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got heavy delays on the N3 North between the Elands interchange and the Geldenes interchange. That's due to an accident right near Van Buren Road. There's also queuing traffic on the M2 East approaching the Geldenes interchange coming out of Cleveland Road. While traveling on the N3 South, we also have got delays just as you come out of the Rand Airport interchange. That's due to roadworks.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with isolated showers expected today. The temperatures will peak at highs between 18 and 20 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, head of the Investigative Directorate Against Corruption, Andrea Johnson, will no longer be appearing before the Madlanga Commission today after she was taken to hospital.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an energy that connects us all.
That's what makes this one so special.
In 702, Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. And yeah, on this morning of breaking news, we dealt in the first hour of the show with the breaking news about Kat Matlala, who has now withdrawn from a plea deal with the state. So that deal between him and the state is now null and void. Remember, they offered him 8 years in exchange of incriminating and revealing information about some senior SAPS officials in as far as that over 300 million rand tender he got from the police is concerned. Then the magistrate came and said, 8 years, too little, let's go 13 years. They've taken that 13 years back to Kat Matlala, and this morning when he appeared in court, he confirmed that he has officially withdrawn from the plea agreement or plea negotiation. So this doesn't mean anything about his appearance at the Madlanga Commission, which is on Wednesday, but I do wonder if this changes the dynamics in how he's going to be responding to questions about the involvement of top SAPS officers in that Medicare 24 tender he got from the SAPS. Now that he has walked away from the deal, does it mean he's going to be quite cautious about who he exposes and who he doesn't when he appears before the Madlanga Commission? Well, we'll find out on Wednesday. We plan to take his entire testimony live on the show. We've also dealt with the issue around Andrea Johnson, who has now joined what many of you are joking and calling it the Madlanga ward in hospital. She's now the latest person who was supposed to appear before the Madlanga Commission, who suddenly sent out a sick note and said, I'm sick, I can't appear. He joins a long list of other people. Van Wyk, the Medicare 24 CEO, who claims he's got severe anxiety now that he has to appear before the commission, but he never had it, clearly, when he was busy appearing live on TV stations to tell his side of the story. Firoz Khan was shot on the eve of appearing before the Madlanga Commission. Who else is there? Karim, when he was supposed to come back, the Northwest businessman, when he was supposed to come back before the Madlanga Commission, he also got sick, was sent to hospital. So there's a few people who have tried this before, and we now wait to see when are they going to be released from hospital, and will they still come and appear before the Madlanga Commission. Let's hope their health will be in a much better place. It's time for our Family Matters feature.
702
Family Matters.
So I want us to have a conversation this morning about something that people may not understand if they have not experienced it. And that is the disconnect that some people feel from home, where they come from. And I want us to talk about how we can heal from that. So what do I mean by that? For many people, home is supposed to be the place where they feel the safest, right? When you think of home, one of the things I would imagine you think of is safety. But when home is shaped by abuse, toxicity, or some kind of hostility, whether that's physical violence or it's constant manipulation and control, or an unsafe neighborhood just outside the front door, that can leave people feeling deeply disconnected, not just from a place, but from the family and the community that they grew up in. Domestic violence, toxic or manipulative family dynamics, and growing up in a hostile neighborhood are some of the most common causes of this kind of disconnection. And maybe you listening to us this morning and you witnessed violence between your parents when you were growing up. And as a result, that has made you feel a bit disconnected with home. So you don't like going home to visit, or when you go, you probably spend just 2 nights, 1 night, 3 nights, and you're out, because that home for you represents a return to a place that traumatized you. Or maybe you were being gaslit at home or constantly criticized by a parent, and that's why you feel disconnected from home. Or maybe you grew up on the streets where danger was a daily reality. This is the kind of trauma that can change how you relate to the place and the people that you come from. And therapists often explain that living under chronic threat or manipulation, whether inside the home or in the surrounding community, can leave people in near constant state of hypervigilance. So it makes it hard to feel connected to anyone or anywhere, even long after the danger or the manipulation has passed. So this disconnection we're discussing this morning is quite real. It's valid for a lot of people. But it's also possible to heal and to rebuild a version of home that finally feels safe. I want to know from you this morning if you have felt disconnected from where you come from, whether because of abuse or because of toxicity at home, or hostility that you experienced, or danger when you were growing up there. Or have you found a way to heal from that? Maybe you did grow up in a place where you experienced a lot of trauma, but you've managed to heal from it. Can you please share those experiences with us? You can call us on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. Kanyisa Mnyaka is a life coach who will be guiding us through this conversation. Kanyisa, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
No, we're happy to have you. So let's start maybe by looking at some of the ways people or things that can make people feel disconnected from home. I've mentioned a few examples, but what does it mean to feel disconnected from where you come from because of any form of trauma that you experienced, whether it's abuse, it's toxicity, or hostility that you experienced there? What does it mean to feel that disconnection from home because of those instances?
Yeah, I mean, I think about it in terms of, especially within the African context, right, where home is everything that's around you, not just the house that you're raised in. Home is your town, your village, your language, your people. So I can't imagine the level of loneliness, that must feel like, where you're in a space that you feel like you should belong in, and yet you don't. So having your sense of belonging so far removed, and because of things that happened to you, right? That disconnection is not something that starts when you're older. It is something that you start to feel from a really young age. And so the loneliness, the isolation also, because when someone feels like they don't belong, they do that work of bidding for connection. They do that work of saying, hey, I'm here too, see me, I also exist. and then to be met with constant rejection, because when you bid for connection and that bidding is not accepted or received, what you then experience is rejection, right? And a lot of people also feel the sense of abandonment, because what do you mean I don't belong in the space that I'm from? And everyone around you seems like they are abandoning you. So there's a lot of emotional turmoil that happens to someone that feels that level of disconnection from where they come from.
Yeah. Is it possible
Yeah.
for someone to still feel that level of disconnection even when like situations have changed? So let me use an example. Maybe someone who grew
Yeah.
up witnessing violence at home between their parents, maybe the parents don't fight anymore. So the violence has
Mm-hmm.
ceased and it's been,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, 10 years or whatever period. But they
Mm.
still somehow feel that disconnection because at the end of the day, for them, that's still that home still represents something traumatic. Are there chances where people still feel that way even when sort of apologies have been given or the matter has been addressed in some way and they can still feel so disconnected from a place?
Yeah, I mean, an apology doesn't remove trauma from the body.
Mm.
And so you can apologize, but the trauma still sits in my body. And that disconnection, especially if it's from a place of that type of trauma, where you're someone when you're at home, I mean, I've experienced it. When you go home, you're already thinking about 50 different ways in which you can stay safe.
Mm.
And so even when you are now in a place where, for example, I'm 41, right? I know I can protect myself. I know that. But there are moments, and I experienced it yesterday, where I can actually tap into that unsafe teenager. And as things happen, things that people have apologized for, you still somehow go back to that. Even when you've done the healing work, which I have, even when you've grown, which you have, it's like there are moments that are still stuck in your body. So that feeling of unsafety doesn't go away because time has passed. It goes away through you teaching yourself how to be safe. And also, when you say apology, I kind of giggled a bit. I'm like, they don't apologize.
And they
They
never
don't
do. Yeah.
apologize. They never, they never do. And to a point where when you even try to get that apology, it seems like you're asking for too much,
Mm.
or you get gaslit into being told, like, it wasn't that bad. What are you talking about? Like, it wasn't that we all experienced the same thing. So not only do you have to assure yourself that your experience was real, but you still have to teach your body how to be safe. And so I think my answer is to say, no, it doesn't go away just because time has passed, because trauma does get stuck in our bodies.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
suppose for some people, they feel a bit conflicted because they still
Mhm.
love their families, right? They still love
Yeah.
being home, but
Mm.
they do struggle with just that sense of disconnection or just the sense of, oh my goodness, I'm back to this place. And yes, things may
Mm.
have changed, but I'm still reminded of what I experienced here. And I think
Mm.
that's not being understood by a lot of people. Like, how do you even explain to someone that, yeah, the reason really I don't like going home like that is because of the things I've experienced when I was there. It wasn't a home
Mm.
to me. And I've had to
Mm.
learn to sort of, as much as I love my family, I've had to learn to also create a safer place for me that I can call home. So there's
Mm.
that conflict then that exists between the two. And I wonder if you've got advice for people who are finding themselves in that conflicted space where they feel bad that they're not spending as much time as their own parents or family members would want them to at home. But then the reason they're not is not that they don't like not being at home. It's that that's just a difficult place to interface with again.
Yeah, I mean, I had a client where I said to him, actually, I said, we love mom, but we don't like her.
Mm.
And just tears. He couldn't stop crying. And he's like, that is the best way to explain that relationship. And I think that is the relationship that you're defining. I love going home.
Mm.
I love being home, but I'm surrounded by people I don't like. And as a culture, we are convinced that we should like our families at all cost. I am of an opinion that I stand 10 toes down on that we don't. That my family who perpetuate abuse towards me are not the most important people in my life.
Yeah.
Because if they were, they would treat me with goodness, kindness, love, and compassion. And they would treat me with those things without me having to ask or beg for them. And one of the reasons that people find it difficult to be home is that the people who cause you pain, abuse, don't change. And actually, most of that pain and abuse gets perpetuated. And that some people have actually spoken about it to their families, and they were told, don't say those things, keep family secrets. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so it's like, as much as I want to be home, because there are cousins I love my siblings, but there's that one uncle that did that thing consistently. There's that one aunt that did that thing consistently. There's the emotional abuse that has never stopped. And how do I then protect myself? Because I can love you and still want to protect myself from being harmed by you. And self-protection and self-preservation asks us to make those difficult decisions of saying, because I love who I am and I love the person I've become throughout all of that, I refuse to put myself in a situation where I'm going to be reminded of it. And the decision to not go home, you know, we talk about people who go no contact with family as if they are the villains. And I'm like, going no contact with your family is the most difficult decision you'll ever have to make.
Yeah.
And it's a decision that is usually made out of so much trying. You've tried for years and years and years, and nothing has come out of that. And then you get to a point where you say, yo, I either try or I choose myself. And part of choosing myself is I'm going to have to remove myself because the environment is harmful.
Yeah. Can you feel disconnected though from your family, even if the abuse or that toxicity wasn't directed at you personally? And again, using the domestic violence example, where maybe you were not violated, or there was no violence towards you, you were not beaten up, but you constantly saw maybe your parents beating your other siblings or beating your other parent.
Yeah, you can. That's called secondary trauma. And I want you to think about secondhand smoking, right?
Yeah.
The experience of secondhand smoking is more harmful to the secondhand smoker. It's funny, I recently said this to a client because the person smoking knows how to exhale. It's a decision that they're making. I'm going to inhale and exhale. And the secondhand smoker doesn't. So you're just taking in and taking in without taking out. And I want to make that example to kind of paint a picture of what secondary trauma looks like. When your parents fight, there's a context that they have and they understand. By the time you're witnessing someone being beat up, there's been a disagreement that you know nothing of. And so the only thing you are absorbing is the pain and the harm of that. And so when you watch someone that you love go through something like that, it also gets stuck in your body as well. And you process it actually mentally, physically, and emotionally as trauma that is happening to you. And so, yes, you can feel disconnected. You can even say things like, I don't like how dad treated mom, so I don't want to have a relationship with him. So yeah, I think the answer is yes, you can still feel disconnected, especially when there hasn't even been room for acknowledgement of your pain. When parents come together and they heal their relationship, they miss out on having conversations with kids about what they witnessed. I don't know, have you ever heard someone say, hey, my parents set me down and said, sorry, we were fighting in front of you. Sorry you had to witness that. Sorry that was so painful for you too. No, because you get treated as a non-entity.
Yeah. And I imagine, I'm just I'm imagining now like how difficult it must be for people who have kept quiet and stayed silent about abuse that took place, that they experienced growing up. So nobody still knows about it. And I'm sure there are people listening to us now who are thinking, oh my goodness, my mom or my dad or my siblings or that aunt, that uncle, they don't know what I actually went through. And I've heard stories like that before, Kanyisa, where someone says, I've never said this to anyone before. And I'm thinking, I can only imagine how difficult it must be to still go back home. And sometimes you're seeing the very same people who were the source of your trauma or who violated you. You still see them at home during family gatherings, at funerals, at mangnomcimbi ekhaya. And then you must still be okay because
Nice.
that must be difficult for people who have gone through that.
It's awful. It's awful. You must still be kind. You must take the high road. You must still hug them. Can you imagine? You must still sit with them and break bread. You must still laugh at their jokes. You must pretend that whatever happened to you never happened, just so that you can do what? Keep the peace. We ask so much of people in the name of keeping the peace. We ask people to abandon their pain and their hurt just so that there's peace in this environment, whatever is going on. But the pain of knowing that this person did this to me and I don't get to hold them accountable. Also, there's that part. I don't get to hold you accountable for what you've put me through, to a point where I'm actually even disconnected from this family and this community because of what you put me through. But not only do I not get to hold you accountable, I also have to be nice.
Yeah, it's quite something. 011-883-0702. Give us a call, or you can send a WhatsApp voice note as well on 072-702-1702. Are you feeling, or maybe at some point in your life, you felt disconnected from home because of maybe a trauma that you experienced at home, some abuse, or maybe you were not abused yourself, but you saw other people being abused, or you witnessed domestic violence, and as a result, you still feel that level of disconnection from home. So you constantly avoid being home, or maybe you were violated and you still, when you go back home, or whether to funerals or to some, gatherings, you still see the very same people who were perpetrators of your abuse. And you must still say hi to them. You must still hug them, or you must still be in the same vicinity with them. I mean, that's you being re-traumatized. So how are you dealing with and healing from just the pain that's come with home not being what home is supposed to be, which is a safe space? But your own home where you were raised was not that for you. Have you created a new home for yourself? How have you navigated feeling disconnected from home? Because a lot of people are not going to get that. Nomsa, you're calling us from Kempton Park. Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
I'm all right, Nomsa. Go ahead.
I'm good. I just want to ask your guest that now, what about someone that you realize that she tells you that her parents have abused her, both mom and dad. But unfortunately, when you are doing counseling with them, you try to encourage them that, okay, maybe you should just go back home and tell them how you felt when they brought you up. The father is already late, mom is still there. She doesn't want to interact with them 100%, but every month she gets admitted to hospital due to depression. So for me, I feel like this is mental illness now that is affecting her. I've sympathized with her, but I feel like maybe if she goes home, because during counseling, that's what we say, are the people aware that how they treated you was harmful? Because she said her father used to scream at her. I'm 58 years old. My father used to scream at me, but it was because he was brought up like that. Just becoming close with him, I realized that he loved us, but he didn't know how to communicate with us. He communicated with us with aggression. Then I wanted just to go maybe express that to her mom and hear the side of her mom. How do we help such a person?
Yeah, all right. Nomsa, got you in Kempton Park. Kanyisa, any response to that? Because some people don't really. It's easy for us to say to people, go back home and tell them how you made them feel. Like some people just don't want to even go back to that past. Like that thing was so difficult for them that they don't even want to have a conversation about it. They want to find ways to move on. But I guess to the caller's point is, but then if you're not going home to confront it, but then every month you are admitted in hospital, you're depressed. At some point, we need to find something that works for you.
Well, also, is that the cause of the depression? Because we're making an assumption that
it is
that's
an
the
assumption.
cause of depression. And also, it is hard. Like I part of the counseling and coaching experiences, we don't get to tell people what to do. People have to come to that decision on their own. I can gently nudge you, we can talk about it, but you have to make that decision on your own. I can't prescribe to you what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And also, it's so nuanced because that person knows their mom. I can say to you, you know what, go talk to their mom. But I can't even say hello with and call her out on anything without a blow up. Like there's so many things that are happening on the background in people's lives that we don't know of. We also don't know if mom is a narcissist. Is mom going to listen to this? Is mom going to laugh it off? Is mom, there's so much going on. And also, the idea that a conversation with your abuser is going to make you feel better. I disagree with that. I think a conversation, like they know they hurt you. Why should I tell you that you hurt me? You are there hurting me. And so we also are a culture that thinks forgiveness negates pain, that if I have a conversation with someone and I say, hey, this is what hurt me, and then they apologize, and then I should forgive them to feel better. I think you can feel better without forgiving people. Forgiveness and healing are not mutually inclusive. One can happen without the other. And so the reason we say to people, go have a conversation, because we think that the conversation is going to somehow make it better. You become better by healing. You become, especially with childhood trauma, I do a lot of inner child work with my clients and seminars as well, because you can learn to reparent without having gone through that experience. So I don't know, man. I don't think it's good for people to go into places that harmed them, especially when they are not ready to.
Yeah. And let me open some more opportunities here for calls for people who want to share that experience. If this is something you've tried or you've been advised to do and you decided, I don't want to do that, give us a call or send a WhatsApp voice note. Just after 11:30, Mbali has the latest in Eyewitness News. Good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Head of the Investigative Directorate Against Corruption, Andrea Johnson, will no longer be appearing before the Madlanga Commission today due to undisclosed health complications. Johnson's lawyers told the Commission this morning that she was rushed to hospital. She was due to testify today on corruption allegations against her, including a questionable relationship with tainted crime intelligence top cop Feroz Khan. A court inquest into the death of Anele Tembe has been postponed due to a medical emergency. The formal hearing was set to proceed in the Cape Town Magistrates Court today. Tembe was 22 years old when she fell from the 10th floor of the Pepper Club Hotel in Cape Town in April of 2021. Well, those are the headlines. This EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traveling on the N3 North, we still have got bumper-to-bumper traffic between the Airlines interchange and the Geldenhuys interchange. That's due to a major accident. Please be on the lookout there. While traveling on the M2 East, expect delays as well approaching the Geldenhuys turnoff coming out of Cleveland Road. While traveling in Eldorado Park, please do be on the lookout for road wrecks taking place along the Golden Highway between Union Avenue and East Street, causing delays. There's also queuing traffic reported on the R80 East Mabopane Highway towards SKM Patlele Drive. That's due to faulty traffic lights there. Please approach with care. More updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The world is moving fast. Consumer mindsets and preferences are changing in real time. AI is creating new rules and timelines are shorter than ever. At Plus 94 Research, we help leaders reduce uncertainty. We deliver authentic, real-time data grounded in proven methodologies and powered by relevant, cutting-edge technology. So when decisions can't wait, you move forward with clarity, confidence, and impact. Plus 94 Research, the science of decision-making.
In life's most challenging moments of loss, compassion can be your greatest comfort. You shouldn't have to face the financial burden of losing a loved one by yourself. Rest assured, Clientele's funeral plans pay out cash within 24 hours. You can cover up to 13 family members on one plan, ensuring all your loved ones are taken care of, and 3 children are covered at no additional cost. With Clientele, you're not just buying a plan, you're also buying peace of mind. When the time comes, you will need to make important calls with your 200 Rand airtime you will receive when you claim. Plans offer double accidental death cover, as well as transport, grocery, and unveiling benefits. Apply today. It's easy. There are no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Some things are better doubled, like scoring twice or getting paid just before the weekend. This July, double your rewards. Absa Rewards and Shell V Plus Rewards are giving you up to 60% real cash back, plus up to 1 Rand per litre on fuel spend every time you fill up at Shell. That's double the value every visit. Simply pay with your Absa card, tap or scan your V Plus Rewards and get rewarded twice, depending on your rewards tier. Offer valid 1 to 31 July 2026. T's and C's apply.
There's so much health information out there, but how do you know what to trust? Catch this show tomorrow from 9 a.m. for Health Matters by Cipla Africa, where we'll be unpacking important health conversations designed to help you better understand your body and well-being. Health Matters by Cipla Africa is a trusted hub bringing you expert-led health conversations you can trust. Then head over to Prime Media Plus app or primemediaplus.com, scroll to Prime Media Highlights, and watch the latest Health Matters video featuring leading experts and thought-provoking conversations. Or WhatsApp the keyword health to 072 702 1702 and we'll send you the link to the content.
702.
Family Matters.
It's 23 minutes now before 11 o'clock, and on our Family Matters feature this morning, we're discussing the disconnection that some people feel from home, and they're feeling disconnected because they've experienced something at home, whether it's witnessing domestic violence, whether they saw abused or they were abused themselves, maybe they were violated, and as a result, it's very difficult for you to still go back to the home where you grew up, whether it was your parents' home, your guardian's home, your grandparents' home. Maybe you're struggling to go back home. You've got quite an awkward, weird, uncomfortable relationship with home because of what you've experienced when you were growing up. How are you navigating that? Do you feel that disconnection? Because a lot of people will not understand it, because sometimes the situation has changed. Or maybe the person who used to violate you is no longer alive, but you somehow still feel so disconnected from that because it's never been a home to you. Because a home is supposed to feel different. A home is supposed to be safe, and that was not for you. How do you navigate that, and how are you healing? 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. Ma'am Elizabeth is calling us from Carltonville. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement.
Hello.
Clement, I don't know if I'm going to... because the tears in my eyes really, I don't know if I will survive really. But Clement, it's huge. It's huge because family in Tlogetsekiwane, I'm 75 years old, staying alone in my home. I've got 2 daughters. Oiwane o shapo and supporter. Kanto enwele enwe. Oiwane was supportive before, and then ke ba godiseditse bana ke sebetsa mo mining ke dula le bana bone ba dula ko ba tlogetse bana mo gone bana ba godile ba bankile ba tswile mo nna ke dula ke le one and ke lela fela gore bana they must just come and greet me. Ga gona ntwe ke batla mo bone Clement, let's say ditšhelete or whatever, just love to come and visit. And then ba disconnected kaofela mo go nna, so ke tshwanetse gore ke etse jwang ka nnete.
Yeah. So the other one, though, Mama Elizabeth, who's not supportive anymore, did she say why she's no longer supportive or coming home? Do you know why she feels that way?
I went to the social worker to ask her if she can call her because she's a medical technologist and a lab manager, more Carltonville. And then kupile social worker gore a tla tlomplela gore ke entseng because nna ga gona ntwe ke entse. And then a bua le social worker mo phone, social worker ya mama speaking because she doesn't want to come to us. And then ore mo social worker nna ke mo kubile ko gaka ene ke mo tellisa ka ngwana wa ausi wa gagwe. So ke be ke re ke kopa ska bua dintho tseno mo phone atle because ga ke di tsebe ene a be free to talk to me.
When last did you speak to her, Mama Elizabeth?
She doesn't want to come. I even went to her church and then ka kopa ba protocol ya bishop wa bone gore please they must call her or I can arrange a meeting to her home. I'll go there. I'm prepared to listen. I'm prepared to make things right.
Yeah.
Can be a better mom because I'm 75 years old. I want to fix things. She doesn't want to. And
yeah, that's heartbreaking, Mama Elizabeth. That is heartbreaking. Thank you so much for calling us, and I'm sorry to hear that. You know, at your age, you're still struggling to make things right. And I guess, Kanyisa, the difference here is she's trying. She says, you know, my daughter was never like this. She used to be supportive. She used to be a normal daughter who comes home. Then things change, and it looks like there's someone, it's he said, she said, and she says, I want an opportunity to clarify, and we talk and I hear what the concern is, but the daughter is not interested. So any advice for Mom Elizabeth? I mean, it sounds like she's tried every single thing, hey?
Yeah, that was so heartbreaking to listen to. You know, I have a daughter and dad dynamic that is coming in this week for sessions, and it's kind of that thing where, as a parent, when is it time to have these conversations facilitated? And I think where it hurts with Uma is because it sounds like she even tried those, right? That, hey, even if it's not just me, let's have someone in the room to talk to us. I would be curious to hear the daughter's side of the story, the pain that they're going through, the reason for the isolation. Sometimes it's a partner, it's a boyfriend that has isolated you from family. Sometimes it's shame that you're carrying in your own life and you don't want to see people see you struggling. So there's a lot that's happening. I think if someone is listening and you're in this situation or you're the daughter, I want to appeal that you take mom up on the offer for reconciliation. I'm reading this book. It's called The 5 Types of Wealth. And relationships are one of the things that we take for granted because we think we have time and we don't. So I want to appeal to the daughter, to anyone going through this, take the time to have these conversations.
Yeah.
They are difficult, they are painful, they hurt, but you will get something out of it. And especially if, you know, it's so rare to have a parent that says, I will sit in the discomfort of owning whatever caused this pain or owning whatever caused this disconnection with you. So, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mom Elizabeth, and all the best. James, you calling us from Pretoria. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement.
Hey, Tara.
Hey, Tara.
Yeah, go ahead, James.
Mine is I was exposed to the most horrendous depravity that a human being has. I was witness in my early teens to murder in my home by three men murdering one guy. So I have this trauma. I'm over 50. I have this trauma flashbacks. My family was wonderful. As a family, we came together. We built a wall to protect one another because we witnessed that murder in my home, in my kitchen. So I was in, like I said, I was in my early teens. So I did not, just like the rest of other members of my family, we did not get an opportunity to be exposed to any professional kind of counseling. It was way back. Counseling wasn't fashionable those years. Late 60s. So I have these flashbacks. I'm trying to cope with it. I'm struggling to. I'm writing a book about it. I come from an area. It's a very interesting area. There are three murder cases that revolve around love triangles. And I was exposed to all three of them. One in my house, the other one not too far from my house. All three of them in the same area. And I was exposed to all those.
Yeah.
So I carry this trauma with me. I did not get an opportunity to get for some kind of professional counseling.
Yeah.
I'm writing a book about it, but I think I would do with some kind of professional counseling.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking to someone who's a professional, James, that becomes important. James, I'm going to put you back to the producers, and let's see. I mean, if James doesn't have the resources to get someone he can speak to, I'm sure we can find a way to work with some of our network of psychologists who can maybe arrange a session with him. So, James, I'm putting you back to the producers now. Let's hear from Bongi in Centurion. Bongi, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Clemzy.
Hey, Tara.
And our guest. Hi, Clemzy. I'm towards 6 years old. The disconnection is genuine. You can't fake it, and it's not something that would happen overnight. I'm the happiest being ever since the disconnection. I'm very, very, very content. I even disconnected myself from both families, maternal and paternal, because the people would have influence about you. So to save my soul from being hurt again, I disconnected from them all. And I am happy. I don't get admitted in mental institutions anymore. I'm the happiest ever. I sing it the beds. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, thank you so much, Bongi.
Thank you.
From Centurion. And can you say that's a point you were raising earlier, that we should we should love our families, but it can't be at all costs. And sometimes for other people, it's that decision to disconnect and distance yourself that really just gives them a better life and makes them happy.
And joy and peace.
Yeah.
And I think what's important, what she mentioned there, was it didn't happen overnight. And it speaks to the fact that people try, but it gets to a point where you're saying, through my trying, I'm hurting myself even further. And then you make that painful choice. And it sounds that I think Sis Bonge, it's led her to a joy that she's experiencing right now.
Absolutely. It's 12 minutes now before 12 o'clock. More of your calls on WhatsApps after the break.
What
is special about this year's 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk is that it returns to where Walk the Talk all started, where we'll be walking in the inner city, celebrating the resurgence of the city of Johannesburg and celebrating the people who make it special. You should take part in this year's 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk because there's so much good stuff happening in the city of Johannesburg. The city is having a moment, and it's thanks to people and organizations who never stopped believing in the power and the magic of the city. So this year, I can't wait to be at the start of this momentous 702 Walk the Talk. I haven't been to Ellis Park in many, many years. So while I might not see you on the route, I'll definitely be at the beginning to see you off as you begin your journey through the inner city. To enter the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, go to primemediaplus.com and we'll see you there on the 26th of July.
Smart business moves mean more savings. Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium, and you get peace of mind with a fixed access. So no nasty surprises when it's time to claim. For guest houses, catering companies, boutique hotels, tour operators, and all other businesses. Why wait? Get a quote now to switch and save. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
Hey, we buy cars. How does it work if I want to sell my car?
We'll drive to your place. You can visit our pods. Even if you don't have space, then at the mall in a parking lot, we've got lots of depots all across the land. Contact We Buy Cars. You're in safe hands. Safe hands.
Wow, that's great.
We Buy Cars, the easiest way to sell your car by far.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
Nedbank Business Ignite on 702 have been looking for small businesses that turn real challenges into powerful solutions. One business will be walking away with 200,000 Rand cash, complemented by strategic business support, mentorship, and growth tools. So catch 702 Breakfast with Bongani Biongo on the 17th of July from 6 a.m. when we'll announce the winner of the Nedbank Business Ignite on 702. T's and C's apply. Nedbank, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
702.
Family Matters.
8 minutes before 12 o'clock. Let's go to some of your WhatsApps on 072 702 1702.
Morning, Clement. Yeah, I'm glad to having this conversation today because I've been telling my friends they never understood. So now I call them to listen to the lady. Exactly my situation that I'm currently in. So my friends don't understand it. I'm staying in Mamelodi, but I moved out of home and staying around Mamelodi. They don't get it. Why move from Mamelodi or one house to another? Because of family issues. You must love your mom, but you may not like her. That's the reality. Thank you, Clement.
Oh, morning, Clement. I'd love to remain anonymous. I love my mom. I loved her. I still do. We used to be best friends, more than being a mom to me. But she did something recently that really hurt me. So what I did was to put a pause in our relationship, and I told her that I'd, keep her at arm's length for now. I don't call her. I've not spoken to her in a while. And my brother, my siblings told me that, okay, so now what next? You have issues with mom. Do you expect mom to come apologize to you? Because in the black culture, especially where I come from, elders can never make mistake. They do no wrong. And I feel like I deserve an apology. She's my mom, but she wronged me, and More than anything else, I miss the relationship I have with her. Because we'll talk for long, we'll talk about politics, we'll discuss social issues because she's interested, we share the same similar interests. So I miss the relationship with her, but I still feel like for me to get closure, she needs to understand that she wronged me. She needs to understand going home right now is not on my I'm even avoiding not just her, but even my siblings because they took her side. They feel like because I'm the last child in the family, I should not be angry, I should not feel offended. Yeah. Let me stay anonymous. Thanks.
Hello, Clement. Mamlang in the Orange Farm. Regarding the topic that you're talking about, I was physically abused by my sister's children at my home, the family home that I grew up. So I end up leaving my home, going and looking for the place to stay. I end up staying in a shack. Look, right now I'm staying in a shack. I won't forget that, Clement. I now see them in a gathering when it's funeral, but they act normal. But inside of me, I don't forget that what they did to me. So I can't even go to my home. Even today, it's 10 years now. I don't even go there. I only go to the neighbors to go to the funeral to the neighbors, but to my home, I don't even go there.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that. There's so many people carrying such heavy traumatic memories. Can you say as we wrap up, because we've got just like 30 seconds left now, what advice do you have for people who've been listening and who can relate and they say, well, I'm faced with the same thing. I'm just so disconnected from home. Is it worth trying to rebuild the trust, or just pick what's giving you peace and joy now and stick to it? And if it means disconnecting and creating a distance, then that be it. Or try have a conversation with them at home.
Two ways about that. I think the first thing is to rebuild trust. You need both parties involved, right? You cannot rebuild trust on your own. And it's the same with rebuilding relationships. If I'm the only one that is working on rebuilding the relationship, then I'm in it alone. So I think my advice is for people, there's so much pain. There's so much pain and it's caused by people we love. So I think my offering is for healing to happen. And sometimes healing happens in isolation. I think you can't keep going back to places that have harmed you and then say you're healing. There has to be a moment of recognition for yourself that the things that happened to me were not normal.
Yeah.
Like it's not normal to be treated that way by your family. It's not a thing that should be happening. And I think self protection is necessary and self-preservation is necessary.
Yeah. Kanyisa Mnyaka, life coach, you've been great guiding us through this conversation. Thank you for making time for us. 3 minutes before 12.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
There's been some dispute between our authorities and the Nigerian government, who've demanded justice and threatened even international action, claiming 2 of its nationals have been killed in South Africa in the last month. The timing, of course, could not be more charged following ongoing demonstrations demanding that undocumented foreigners leave this country. Might we get a trade blowback, the continent hurting us where we might feel it the most?
I think so, yes. And I think that's sort of in 2 ways, both in terms of, economic relationships and trade, but also in the fact that we suddenly, really expelled thousands of people who were putting into the economy here.
Dr. Rebecca Walker.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
702 Josie, my Josie Walk the Talk, is calling on you to walk with the people, for the people on Sunday, the 26th of July, Babiza Bonke. And this year, you can choose from 3 different inner city routes. The 5-kilometer Victoria Yards route takes you from Ellis Park through the inspirational Joburg Cricket Club into Victoria Yards and past the Troyville Hotel. And then you can finish off at Ellis Park. So whether you are taking on the 5-kilometer, 8-kilometer, or 15-kilometer, enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for the 702 Josie, my Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the city of Joburg.
You know when your people are giving their best.
not because they're pushed or pressured, but because they feel supported. And support is making sure they're covered. So if something happens, they can get the care they need. FlexiCare Health Insurance makes it simple for every business to protect their people with affordable health cover. You care. We cover. For a tailored FlexiCare quote, speak to your financial advisor today. FlexiCare is not a medical scheme and the cover is not the same. FlexiCare is underwritten by Auto & General, a licensed non-life insurer and FSP, and administered by Discovery Health, an authorized FSP.
Is there a word for the feeling of a road disappearing over the horizon? Beyonding? What about the feeling you get when you see sunlight flickering through rows of trees? Sun fizzing. Anyway, some things don't like to be explained. They just ask to be felt. Like the feeling of a drive built around you. Technology that's human first makes you one with your car in a way that you can't explain. You can only feel. And there's a word for that. Mazda. Wonder awaits. At the 702 Josie Majosi Walk the Talk, snap and share any one of 5 Mazda Wonder experiences using hashtag MazdaSA to stand a chance to win a share of 50,000 Rand.
Coming up next, the Midday Report with Jane Dutton in Fomendi. How are you doing, Jane?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Better than Andrea Johnson and all of those people who are supposed to rock up at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. It's quite extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, she was supposed to go today. We're desperate to hear from her. Those allegations of improper conduct between her and Khan, and yet on the way to the hospital or way to the inquiry, she gets rushed off to hospital, and apparently the commissioner is saying that he's not even convinced with her sick note. So we're going to be talking about that. Lindsey Graham, a real warmonger in the US, he's died. What impact could it have, if any, on South Africa's relationship? And also quite a few dramatic developments when it comes to Kat Matlala.
All right, that's what's coming up on the Midday Report with Jane Dutton, standing in for Mandy Wiener. Thank you for listening to the show. We're back tomorrow between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The Madlanga Commission is unhappy with the sick note provided by head of the Investigative Directorate Against Corruption, Andrea Johnson. Johnson was due to testify before the commission today. However, her lawyers said she would confidentiality concerns, but they did submit a medical certificate which Commission Chairperson Buyiseli Madlanga described as useless.
I noticed that this is one of those medical certificates, the nature of which I've